trail ride. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the 5th episode of Coaster Time. And if you are new here, pretty much what I do is, with these live streams, is basically I go through various segments such as news, trivia, Q&A discussions, and more. And you, the viewers, can participate in these segments. And today, for my guests, I have none other than Chris from Airtime Thrills. Thank you so much for coming on here. And if you could, I guess, tell us a little bit more about yourself, that'd be awesome.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, also, I guess for the audio, let's I guess say in the chat if it's like relatively even, because the last time that was kind of an issue. So if the audio is good, give a thumbs up and say it's good. So that's pretty much that.
I'm looking at the chat here and making sure everyone can hear me all right, because I know Dale was pretty okay. I don't know, everything. I think they seem happy with it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like
I'm Chris. I run the Airtime Thrills YouTube channel, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years now, and I work full time, so this is just kind of a hobby. So yeah, it's fun to actually go and go to parks like I always have been in the past, and now I get to do it kind of as a second job. So that's awesome. And I'm here in California for another couple weeks, and then before I head out to Oklahoma. So I am in my California studio here, and yeah. If you guys want to know anything more, just fire away in the questions.
Yes, we'll be getting to the Q&A in actually just a moment here. And if you guys aren't subscribed or haven't followed Airtime Thrills on Instagram, I have the links to those things in the description. So if you want to do that, you can do that. And then with all of that said, I'll head straight into the news. And this week, if you are familiar with how I do this, I'm actually going to do this a little differently than usual. I actually have this time a slideshow prepped up with images. I felt like this was probably just a better way to go when doing these. So that's kind of what I'm going to go with here. And so if I can pull that up real quick, just so you guys can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about, because sometimes I'm just talking about things and it's just kind of like, you can't really see what I'm talking about. But for our first thing, for our news, is that Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios in Japan is now confirmed to open in spring of 2021. Very ambitious project, and it's very exciting to see it come together. Just seeing the construction and everything the past few months, it looks absolutely spectacular. Anything you will have to say about this, Chris?
I mean, Super Nintendo, awesome. And if it's for Japan, yeah, I mean, it looks incredible. Definitely would put that on my list if I ever get over to Japan in the future.
In a few years, it should be coming to Hollywood. Hopefully that still ends up happening, because I really want to experience that. And I think it should come to Orlando, but with Epic Universe on hold, who knows what's actually going to happen with that. Our second piece of news is that Dragon Slayer going to Adventureland. This is the S&S 40 Freespin. It has gone vertical. So this is it. This is just a picture of the support that Adventureland posted a few days ago. And you can actually still see they left the loops up from the coaster they removed. I forget what it was called, but the coaster that they removed.
The Dragon, yeah.
Yeah, Dragon. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They still have them there, and they're doing construction with this. But yeah, that's going up, and it looks like it'll have a different layout compared to the Six Flags versions, which is pretty interesting. More compact is what it's looking like. Our next
bit of that right.
Yeah,
maybe it'll be more
interesting. The next bit of news is about a bit more of an obscure coaster. This is Space Factory going to Yomiuriland. This is the same park with Bandit in Japan, in Tokyo. This will be an inverted coaster, and it's rumored to be manufactured by Gerstaluer, which I don't believe they've ever made an inverted coaster, so it's very strange. But just from like the track usage, and some people were saying the fins on it were very similar to the ones on the Gerstaluer Infinity coasters. So they're thinking that this is going to be made by Gerstaluer. It looks like it'll be kind of like a dark ride mixed with an inverted coaster, so pretty interesting. A very weird and kind of under the radar project, but that you can see the track is now going up. A very weird project for sure. Not a whole lot known about it, but just something interesting. Another coaster that went vertical this week, a lot of them actually. Monster at Grona Lund in Sweden. The lift hill has actually been complete. They're working on other parts of it now, but that has gone vertical. And this is the B&M Invert coming to the park next year. It will be very interesting to see how it is because we haven't seen a B&M Invert since Banshee, so it's pretty crazy actually. Or at least throwing B&M Invert. I think a family one may have been made since, but I think this will be the first major one. In other news, Genting Skyworlds in Malaysia. This is the park that was going to have the Fox, 20th Century Fox park. It was going to be themed to those properties. Is now targeting a 2021, just in the middle of 2021, they're planning to open. That's the new plan. And this park also has and is planning to have a dynamic attractions SFX coaster, kind of like Mission Ferrari. If you've seen that, they're going to have a coaster just like that. It's this little orange coaster over here toward the back, if you can see it. And yeah, they're going to have one of those, which is pretty crazy. So that's pretty awesome. Pieces for a Bayern Kurve flat ride were found at Knoebels. This is not it. This is just an example of what the ride looks like. But it appears that they will be getting one of these flat rides next year, which is pretty interesting. A pretty rare flat ride, I guess, in the United States, if I'm correct. I know Kennywood has one of these, but Knoebels apparently is expected to get one of these, which is pretty surprising. I mean, I guess not really surprising, but it's interesting because Knoebels just has so many classic rides, and this will fit right in. The next thing we have is that Cliffs Amusement Park. This is the one with the New Mexico Rattler, as you can see here in the picture, a CCI wooden coaster. One of the last ones they ever made before they went defunct. Unfortunately, this park may not survive beyond the 2021 season. Their future is looking pretty dire, it sounds like.
Yeah, this is one of those parks that I've been to a few years ago, and it just worries me that a lot of these small parks might not survive this all these shutdowns and lower attendance, and it's really sad to see it go because I pass by this all the time on my drives back and forth to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I hope they're able. They're not saying they're totally done yet, but there has been some expression from the ownership that there's concern about the survival of this park, which is unfortunate. Hopefully it's able to survive and they find a way, because otherwise another CCI wooden coaster would bite the dust, and we don't need that. So yeah, that's Cliffs Amusement Park in New Mexico. During a virtual expo this week, Blue Loop virtual expo, Michael Mack from Mack Rides, and also I guess he owns Europa Park, or I guess he has something to do with it. He officially announced that Europa Park will be getting a new coaster in 2023. And it was hinted, I believe, that it would be from Mack Rides. So it was hinted that it would be from Mack Rides. So maybe a Mack Extreme Spinner, Mack Hyper come to mind. Maybe it'll be something else entirely, but those would be two additions I'd love to see at this park. Anything you think Chris, do you think what do you think this could be?
If they're announcing it for 2023, it's probably going to be pretty significant. So I could see maybe an Extreme Spinner going here.
I think it'd be a fantastic fit. They tested out those trains on Blue Fire a few years ago, the spinning trains, so that'd be a pretty nice addition for sure. Six Flags Magic Mountain appears to be moving ahead with their new coaster project. I don't have the picture of the leaked thing on here because I know how Magic Mountain is with their leaks. They actually took some videos down that had the Jersey Devil layout leaks, so I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I just have a picture here. But yes, Magic Mountain, it appears, is moving ahead with their new coaster project. And in the, I guess, sort of email or note thing that I saw, it labeled it as a 2021 to 2022 edition. Like, I guess either I would imagine 2022 at this point, but it was kind of interesting because it was labeled 2021
Well,
22.
they do have their 50th anniversary coming up in 2021, so they might want to try to push it out at the end of the year, like they did with West Coast Racers. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to throw that out there next summer, considering that West Coast Racers has only been open for a couple months before it's been shut down. So they still probably want to ride that as much as they can before they add something new.
I would think I know it's their 50th anniversary, but I think, yeah, probably opening it at earliest toward the end of the year would probably be the better way to go, if not summer of 2022, just because I don't think that would be pretty bad for, I guess, their investment on West Coast Racers. I mean, it's probably already bad enough, but it's only been open a few months, so better to have that run its course. Velocicoaster had its first ever test run. So that's it. If you didn't see it, there was like a 10-second clip from, I believe it was Orlando Informer. I believe that was the source. And it looked like it was flying over the top hat, which it looked insane. Like in the back row, that's going to be pretty crazy. I don't know that
Who
it
knows if
won't
that's
run
going to
that
be the actual
fast.
speed?
Yeah,
Right.
no, it won't run that fast. At least I doubt it, but that looks incredible. And this entire coaster looks amazing. Six Flags Qiddiya has announced an opening year, which is 2023. And along with that, we actually learned some new information for some of their rides. Falcon's Flight is said to have a height of 656 feet, which it will reach at the top of that like natural peak. So I guess they also mentioned it would have some sort of launch to it that would propel it up there, because otherwise there's no way it would ever get up there. I still don't know if this thing will ever happen, but I guess that's what they're saying it'll be. They are also saying that they will have the world's tallest drop tower, and they will also have a mine train. At least they're calling it a mine train. I don't know that I'd call this a mine train. Called Iron Rattler Mine Train. That's gonna be a tilt coaster, which is I'm kind of like,
Is that
I don't.
tilting off of the edge of a mountain?
Uh, no, that's the mountains in the background. They showed like a brief
Oh, okay.
animation.
Yeah.
It's a new Vekoma tilt coaster. But yeah, pretty interesting. But that was what came out this week. Oh, and they also have a triple launch coaster. They didn't give much more specifics. There was no renderings, but they're calling it Spitfire. Kind of sounds like it kind of sounded like a Premier Skyrocket too, but I'm not sure if that's what it was. Triple launch, I was thinking, oh, it might be that. And then for our last bit of news, before I guess the rumors, track for 3 Intamin coasters have arrived at Nickelodeon Universe in Chongqing, China. This is an upcoming park, and these 3 Intamin coasters are said to be an Intamin half pipe, which not really anything special. They are said to be getting a launched 8 inversion coaster, which I don't believe we've seen a launched version yet, so that's unique. And they will be getting a spinning coaster, and I couldn't get the pictures on here, but the spinning train looked very similar to Tornado at Bakken, so it might be something that's pretty intense. So that's definitely something exciting. But this literally just came out like yesterday, that the track had, I guess, gone to Nickelodeon Universe in Chongqing, so that's pretty wild. Anything to say about this?
It's interesting that these are Intamin coasters. They kind of seem like the 8 inversion launch coaster is kind of like Shellraiser, and the spinning coaster is kind of like the Shredder. But I guess it's Intamin's take on these, because we all know how Intamin likes to copycat.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. They do a lot of work in Asia for sure. So I guess maybe that's why I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with like Gerstaluer again or something like that. Our next bit of news. This is really weird. This is actually a rumor. The world's tallest coaster project in Orlando might still be alive. Maybe, maybe not. Some leaked documents and pictures, such as this one you're seeing, shows that apparently Lionsgate is at least considering, if not already has taken over the Skyplex project, and they're thinking about, or they're planning to, make this thing an entire resort, which is very bizarre. I don't know that this will ever happen. Like I said, this was not officially announced. This was kind of leaked. But very clearly from the renderings, this seems like something that is at least being considered. Very strange for sure. Do you have anything to say
It's
about this?
interesting that they're talking about this. It's interesting they're talking about this while, I mean, Lionsgate's a movie company, right? And like really no one's making movies right now. So they're going to pull this money out of somewhere, I guess, to try to build this.
They have a few projects, I think park projects going on in Asia, so that's pretty interesting. And I guess they're planning to do one in Orlando. I don't know. I don't see this working out, even if somehow they did actually build this. It seems too wacky to me. I don't see how this could work. Another rumor: Cascabel 2.0 has been removed from a used rides website, indicating it may have been sold. This was a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop that formerly operated at La Feria Chapultepec, which, as you know, the one in Mexico City had a pretty tragic incident with Chimera, and this ride, I guess, got sold off or at least put on a used rides website. We don't know if it's going to be scrapped. People are hoping it got sold, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. The coaster in the picture is just a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop. I think it's Grease Lightning, but it was Creative Commons, so that's why I use that. It's not the actual Cascabel 2.0, if you were wondering. And then our last bit was apparently a new SNS 40 free spin and a Mauer spinner appears to be going to Motion Gate in Dubai. This is part of a Dubai resort, Dubai Parks and Resorts. They have a Legoland park, they have Bollywood park, if I'm correct, and they have this one. And they appear to be getting coasters that were left over from the Six Flags Dubai project, which were already bought. They're just, I guess, using them. So pretty interesting. And I guess these were two of the ones that were supposed to come to Six Flags Dubai. They're kind of spreading it around the resort. A few are going to Bollywood and then a few are going to Motion Gate. So it's really weird. And that's pretty much everything. Quite a bit of news to go through this week. There was quite a bit of things here and there. So you guys can actually now ask us questions. This is the first bit of a Q&A session. And while you guys are doing that, I'll put up a link for the quiz, the online quiz. It is on myquiz.org. And actually, wait, did I... let me make sure this code is correct. Hold on, I need to replace the code. This is not the correct one. This is the one from last week. But the quiz will be on myquiz.org, and it'll be I'll put a link in the chat real quick for the website. And while you guys are asking questions, you guys can log on onto the quiz, which you just go on the website, and that's that. So I'll put that in the chat, and then you guys can ask your questions right now. I also have the link to myquiz.org in the description, so ask away your questions. Oh, someone asked if either of us had ever gotten sick on a coaster. I just saw that.
I always get sick on coasters. I've never actually thrown up on a coaster, but like I always feel like it's a little questionable sometimes. Especially at Six Flags New England, I ate something spicy, and then I got on Riddler's Revenge and Dark Knight, and that was a little touch and go there for a second. But I think the only time actually I threw up at a park was at Six Flags Over Texas. And that wasn't because of coasters. That was just because it was hot and I ate too much.
For me, I actually got sick one time when I was at Magic Mountain. I think I had eaten too much in the morning, and I was kind of dehydrated as well, and I decided to ride, what was it? Batman the Ride and Riddler's Revenge, like, back to back, with, like, basically no line, and that basically did me in. That happened many years ago. That's never happened to me since, but that happened one time. I think it was like and then I remember I ended up graying out on Batman, which I rarely ever gray out on anything. I was like, that's odd. That's why I think I was dehydrated. So that's
my goal is just not to eat. I just try not to eat much when I'm at a park because it just doesn't go well for me.
Same here, actually. Ever since then I try to go light. Most laps on a coaster, I think I've done. I'm trying to think. I think I've done. It's not a very high record, but I did five. I guess I rode Steel Vengeance 5 times in one day, and I've also ridden Credicoaster 5 times in one day. But I don't usually. I haven't marathon anything yet. I guess. Chris.
The most I've done was Ghost Rider 16 in one day, and that was one of those off days in the winter where there's no line, and you can pretty much stay on or just go around. And Ghost Rider is very marathonable. So other than that, I think I did Accelerator like 14 times in a day. Twisted Colossus maybe 8. So I've never gone nuts. I've never done like 16 a day or anything, but yeah, 16 is the current record.
Yeah, that's more than me. I plan to marathon something one day. It's just it hasn't happened yet. The next question we have is let's see. Why? Oh no. What is either of our biggest take? For me, I think that Giant Dipper at Santa Cruz is a top 5 coaster in Northern California. So I guess that's kind of mine. I don't really think there's any. I don't have too many, but that's one of them, I guess.
I have Comet ranked over Intimidator 305. Comet at Hershey Park.
Yeah, that
That's
would
not one that a
definitely
lot of
be
people would
one.
agree with. So
Yeah, that one's definitely not that one I've heard too much. Someone has a question just for you. Why do you think Zippin' Pippin is so good? I think you kind of go over that in your review, but
yeah, Zippin' Pippin is just like a floater machine for the first 3/4 of the ride. So it's really awesome. Like if it was just that, it's awesome. But then it throws that ejector hill at the end, and that just like that's the cherry on top. That takes it from maybe a top 50 coaster to a top 30 coaster for me.
alrighty. Another question for you. This is from Coaster Daddy. Chris, how bummed are you about Frontier City being your new home park?
Well, I mean, if you could even call it a home park, it's 100 miles from my house.
Oh my.
So it's gonna be a lot different than Magic Mountain, which is like 3 miles from my house right now. So I'm not gonna be going to Frontier City that much. My trips will probably be down to Texas or Silver Dollar City, or I might head up to like just do a Missouri trip or go up to Illinois. So that's one good thing about living out in Oklahoma is I'll be closer to a lot of the other stuff. So I'll be going to like I can drive to Ohio now. I couldn't do that before. So Frontier City will be a fun park to take Sophie to, but I'm not going to hang out there that much like I do at Magic Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's some nice things about it, but not the greatest park by any means, for sure. Although I will have to say I'm like about 100 miles from Magic Mountain. That's what I consider my home park, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
rough because
And 100 miles in California is a lot different than 100 miles in Oklahoma too.
that's for sure. Someone asked, what is your favorite Pandemonium clone?
The one that I enjoy the most is probably the one at Six Flags New England. For whatever reason, maybe it's the setting, but that's the one that maybe it was the first one I rode too. But I just like that one the most. But any Pandemonium clone where you can get nobody sitting across from you is going to be an awesome ride.
Yeah. Someone asked music we like. I actually don't listen to music that much. Which is I guess that's very weird. But I guess I did kind of answer this last time, but I guess I'll give you like favorite coaster soundtracks. Some of them are Keranon, Taiga, and Riddler's Revenge, which I played before this. So I guess that kind of answers your question a little bit.
Keranon is an amazing score. I like the Smiler just because of how fitting and creepy it is. As for music, I don't really listen to music that much also. Like usually when I'm in the car, I listen to podcasts and instead of actual music. But back in like high school and college, I listened just to a lot of like rock alternative, Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Red Hot Chili Peppers, just stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm into.
Yeah. I've been listening. I probably would be listening more to podcasts if I were doing longer trips as well,
Mhm.
especially talking Trimless and a few others that are really good.
Yeah.
Favorite film? I guess I don't know. I don't have a favorite film of all time. It's just too hard to tell. But I'll give you this. My favorite animated movie is Ratatouille. And my favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. So I hope that's good enough.
My favorite film is The Social Network, just for the story and the editing and the directing, and it's a Fincher film, so that speaks for itself.
Yeah, I need to watch that movie. I still haven't yet. Too bad. Someone was saying it was too bad we couldn't meet before you left for Oklahoma. Yeah, I would have figured that eventually I would have been able to find you at Magic Mountain or something. But
I'll be back. Like I'll be
well,
back
yeah,
probably several times a year, and as long as the parks are open, I'll probably try to hit it up when I'm back. We'll see.
yeah, man, who knows? But who knows at this point when they're gonna actually be open? Someone asked least favorite hyper. For me, Goliath at Magic Mountain. Actually, no contest. If we're talking
Same.
about just coasters over 200 feet, even like considering like ones that people don't consider a hyper, I would say
Manhattan
Wicked
Express.
Twister.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what was the one you said?
Manhattan Express.
Oh, I haven't
The Big
ridden
Apple
it.
coaster.
Oh my god.
That one's over 200 feet. It sucks. But yeah, for me, traditional hyper that actually has a drop of 200 feet, Goliath, by far.
Yeah,
And it sucks that it's my home hyper. So my next home hyper is probably going to be Titan, which is exactly the same thing as Helix. So I really can't get away from this.
I mean, it's slightly better. I think. I think it's slightly better. I haven't ridden it, but I think that's the general thing. Which B&M coaster do we think do we think would be the king of airtime, and why? I think that's how it was worded. Like I guess
Which
the
B&M
best,
coaster?
yeah, like what B&M coaster I guess would be the best for airtime, I guess.
Oh, that's Diamondback. At least
You
from the
s-
ones I've ridden.
you see, the problem with me is that I haven't ridden like any non-inverting B&M coaster, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah,
Um,
if you're living out here on the West Coast, if you're like west of the Mississippi, good luck finding a good B&M non-inverting. There is none actually. So it's just crazy
uh,
that they're all located on that side. Maybe if Great America finally gets one, then we'll have one. But until now, I think the closest one is like Raging Bull.
yeah. And I mean, I've been to Hershey Park, but I went before Kindemonium, so
Mhm.
unfortunately, that's kind of that. I guess I'll say that Riddler's Revenge has a good moment, and then Medusa's first drop I
Yeah,
like in the back row.
it's decent. Yeah, it's pretty sad that that's the best you have, but um, that's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I've ridden a decent amount of B&M coasters. It's just none of them are non-inverting. So, uh, do we think Shambhala is the superior B&M Hyper? I haven't ridden it, but it looks like the one I would like the most, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Um, Maybe. I mean, people always have different opinions on everything. People seem to like Mako and Diamondback the best in America, or at least Mako. But those are my favorites here. I don't know if Shambhala would beat those, but it is definitely taller than those. I think it's like 250 feet or something. So based on that, probably, yeah, it would be the best.
Alrighty. Someone asked it why you hate Boss so much.
I guess, yeah, I guess I do kind of hate the boss. I didn't really thought about it that much, but it's just big, pointless. There's like no forces. It's rough. And it just needs to get RMC like right now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one I think I have to ride to have an opinion because it's like so polarizing. I mean, well, that's with any coaster in general, but that one especially is like so
Maybe
polarizing.
at
It
night.
seems like.
Maybe at night it's good. I
Yeah,
didn't write it
I've
at
heard
night.
at night it's great.
But
Which
I wrote it once, and then I was like, I gotta write it again. I can't come all the way out there. I've known about the boss since I was like a teenager, so I was like, I have to write this a second time, and it was a mistake. Like that thing just beat me up so bad.
someone wanted our opinion on intimate impulses. I've only ever ridden Wicked Twister. I would have loved to ride Flash Vertical Velocity, but it's never been open out of like the
Hmm.
3 times I've been to Discovery Kingdom, so I haven't ridden it, and I don't really like Wicked Twister that much, so I don't think they're that great. They're okay, but nothing that amazing.
When it comes to small footprint coasters, like thrill coasters. They're pretty good. I remember having some great rides on V2 at Great America a few years ago, but then I rode it again. It wasn't that good. And then Wicked Twister, I've had good rides and bad rides. I did ride V2 The Flash at Discovery Kingdom finally. It was open for me last time. And it's a unique experience, but it's nothing special. You know, it's there and you ride it and then you move on. They're okay.
Alrighty. Favorite B&M besides Fury? I believe this is for you.
A Diamondback. They're both in my top 10. And then Mako and Raging Bull are also in my top 10. So it kind of shows you where my head's at.
No, those are pretty good, it seems like. And especially that drop on Raging Bull. Can't wait to ride that. That's going to be incredible.
It's nuts. Only in the back row.
Yeah, only in the back row. But man, that ride looks incredible. Do you think Valley Fair should get a coaster soon? They probably should. They just probably won't. That's what's probably going to happen.
They Valley Fair should have bought one of the Dueling Dragons coasters. It would have fit perfectly there. They need an invert. They were selling. They could have probably got it for free if they wanted it. It was right there for them, and they blew it. So I don't know what they're going to get next, but they do need an inverted coaster.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a good idea. You can just imagine like Chinese Fireball. That would have been incredible. And it seems like they're not really they're just not going to get it. So any new coasters in the future. So I mean, they kind of even joke about it on like social media. So
yeah, Cedar Fair doesn't care. They're just like, we're gonna give the coasters to the parks that make money, and the rest of them, whatever. You're stuck.
Ooh, a question about Gilroy Gardens. Have either of us been? I went when I was really little, so I don't remember it at all, and I don't believe I rode either of the coasters. I actually do want to go there. It might be the first coaster I go to once the parks reopen, which is weird, but I actually want to go there. Chris, have you been?
I was going to go this year. I was going to head up to Northern California and hit the two parks because 2 years ago we went up north, but we went to Santa Cruz instead on the way up. So this year I was like, okay, instead of Santa Cruz, let's hit Gilroy Gardens. Plus we have our Cedar Fair passes, which would have got us in. And then we couldn't go, obviously. So at this point, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there since my time in California is going to be limited. But I definitely will try to make an effort as soon as I can to do it.
Alrighty, so I guess for now, if you guys still have questions that we didn't answer, hold on to them. We'll have another Q&A session later. But I want to move to the quiz, and actually, as I'm seeing, I was kind of concerned because I knew we had a lot of newer people. And I did try to put the link in the chat multiple times. I guess not everyone's going to do it on myquiz.org. However, I can still ask you the questions, so you guys can try to answer it, I guess. I'll have the screen up, and you can try to answer them in chat if you would like to do it that way. But I guess, yeah, we'll move straight into the quiz, which I will start in just a second. Let me just get it so I can have it shared, and then we'll be off and doing that. And I guess before, I'll put the link in one last time. But yeah, so we're going to be heading right into the quiz. And like I said, if you still have questions, then just hold on to them. We'll answer them during a different Q&A session. So here's the quiz starting. And the first question is, what was the first coaster to open at Hershey Park? And actually, I'm going to get rid of this banner. So if you can see here, I have all for answer choices. And so was it Comet, Toboggan, Trailblazer, or Wildcat? Actually, no, I'll keep the banner up because then that way people can still go in if they want. That probably makes the most sense. So yeah, we're going to do it that way. And the correct answer was Wildcat, not the one that's currently operating, but the first coaster that ever opened was called Wildcat. It was I forget who manufactured it, but it was an older wooden coaster, and obviously it doesn't operate to this day. That's actually why they have the GCI named Wildcat. It was kind of in, I guess, honor of the older coaster. What year did Six Flags Fiesta Texas open? And I'll give you a hint, it was more recent. So it was a much more recent opening than maybe you would expect, actually.
92.
Yeah. If I'm correct, I believe it's actually out of all the parks in the Six Flags chain, I believe it's actually the newest to open. Uh, that they still have because I think some of the ones in Europe that they had might have been newer back in the 2000s, but they don't have those. So, the next question is how many inversions does Katoon at Mirabilandia have? So, this is of course the B&M Invert at Mirabilandia, said to be one of the best out there. Looks incredible. Definitely a bucket list ride in Europe for sure. And if you've seen a POV more recently, I guess you'd probably know how many inversions it has. And the correct answer is 6. It has 6 inversions. So that's that. What do you think of Katoon? Like just off the POVs that you're seeing, are you excited to ride it when you get the chance, or?
Katoon. I've definitely taken a look at it. It didn't really stand out to me. Black Mamba was way more interesting to me than Katoon. So, yeah, not really a big impression.
For me, it's one of my most anticipated B&M coasters. The next question is how many coasters currently operate at not Knoebel, sorry, Kennywood Canyon Racer as one credit or one coaster? And the correct answer is 8. 8 coasters. Counting Racer is only 1, which is actually more than I would have thought. Like just thinking about the park, they somehow have 8, which that's kind of surprising. Just to think about it that way. The next question is, what was the first coaster ever built by Morgan? They didn't build very many, but there is one that was the first, so I'll just say that much. And no, it's not the one in the picture. That was the last. That was the last. The correct
Wild
answer
Thing?
is Wild Thing. Yeah,
Ooh.
a lot of
I would
people.
have said West Coaster.
Yeah, West Coaster, I believe, opened only a few months after Wild Thing, so
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it was
I didn't
very
know Wild Thing
close.
was that old. It's interesting.
Yeah, 96, I believe, was when it first
Uh-huh.
opened. The next question is, what is the name of the first ever Intamin megalite that was ever built? There's a few of these that open pretty close to each other, so another question that is pretty difficult, but there is one that opened just a few months before the rest, and that is Kawasemi at Tobu Zoo. It opened in March of, I believe it was 2008. If it wasn't, it was 2009, but it opened the same year with Puritan, just a few months earlier, so pretty interesting. Which of these coasters was not designed by Alan Schilke? Is it Falcon, Timberhawk Ride of Prey, Steel Hog, or Hellcat? 3 of these are wooden coasters if you don't know, so.
Timberhawk was a giant piece of crap, so I hope he didn't design that.
Well, you would be right. He didn't design it.
Thank God. That does not feel like a Schilke coaster.
I mean, some of these other ones don't have the best of reputations, Hellcat specifically. But yeah. The next question is how many operating coasters travel at a top speed of 100 miles per hour or more? This one's a little interesting because there's one in particular that you could debate whether it counts, but since its top speed is considered 100 miles per hour, I didn't include it with this kind of list. And the correct answer is 6. The one I was kind of hinting at was Superman Escape from Krypton, because technically, yes, its top speed is 100 miles per hour, but it probably doesn't ever reach it nowadays, so that's just kind of that. Next question is, what year was Arrow founded in? Very old company, so obviously these answers are going to be from way back, or I guess was an old company. Too bad they don't exist today. It seemed like they
Thanks,
actually,
X.
yeah, X. It's too bad. You've ridden Tennessee Tornado though, right? So is
Yeah,
that like one of
yes.
your favorite arrows?
Yeah, it's in the top 5 of arrows that I've ridden.
Yeah, it seemed like if they had kept making looping coasters, they would have been pretty good. It's a shame they had to go bankrupt because of X. Which Maurer coaster features the most inversions? Pretty strange question for sure, but the potential answers are G-Force at Drayton Manor, I also include ones that don't exist like that. Dragon Legend at Roman Park in South Korea, Dream Coaster in Dream City, or Freijouts at Bayern Park in Germany. And the correct answer is Freijouts. I probably am totally butchering that. At Bayern Park in Germany. It has 4 inversions, which is the most of any Mauer coaster. The next question is, what is the confirmed longest Vekoma coaster in the world? And I know a lot of people criticize how I pronounce Vekoma. I don't know what I'm saying wrong. I don't know. But a lot of people seem to criticize me for my pronunciation of it. Correct answer is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, specifically the one at Disneyland Paris is actually the longest, which pretty surprising. I had no clue until I actually looked into that. Next question is, what is the oldest operating coaster in the SeaWorld chain? Potential answers here are Loch Ness Monster, Scorpion, Sand Serpent, and Grover's Alpine Express. Okay, I see. Yeah, okay. It was good to leave the banner up because I see now that more of you are in here in the quiz, so that was a good thing. But the correct answer is Loch Ness Monster, opened in 1978, I believe. And if you're wondering, I did look up I had these answers on RTDB, so just because I don't know them right now doesn't mean these answers are wrong. They're correct. Yes, 1978. What is the longest coaster ever built by Mack Rides? It's obviously not the one in the picture, but had to get a Mack Rides coaster in there. This one's actually pretty close. It's really between 2 of them that are very long. Correct answer is DC Rivals. It's not that much longer than Helix, though. I believe it's like less than 300 feet longer than Helix at Leesburg, which is pretty surprising. And also kind of shows you like how incredible Helix is. Just the work they had to do with the terrain and everything. The 14th question is, as of today, how many coasters has Premier Rides ever built? And these would be ones that are currently operating. Someone was like asking about Lost Gravity. I just put it in the picture because why not? Of course, that's not the longest Mack Rides coaster out there. And the correct answer is 33 coasters. Premier Rides, that's how many they have built up to this point. There will be a few more once Icebreaker, and I believe it's called Dragonfire. The one going to it's international coaster, but another launch coaster is currently being built, but it hasn't been completed yet. And the last question is, how many coasters currently operate at Disney World? I guess you could say one or even a few, depending on how you count it, went away recently with the with Primeval Whirl getting the axe. So that's pretty much that. And the correct answer is 7. So with that said, the top 3 here in myquiz.org will be receiving a shout out in a community post for the quiz, which in this case, Millie Man got first, 808 Coaster Life got second, and Badger State Coasters got third. So that is the quiz. And with that said, with that done, I will be moving into the next segment, which will be, actually, I'm trying to see, do I want to change it? No, I'll just keep it this way. I'm going to be doing YouTube shoutouts, like channels that are either close to or reached milestones within the last 2 weeks. So we're just YouTube shoutouts, and the first one I'm going to give is to Etai Coaster Fanatic, who just reached 2,000 subs. Pretty great channel. I know there's a lot of talk about him on the Talking Trimless podcast, but honestly, his channel is pretty good. He actually releases great videos, so make sure to subscribe to him if you haven't already. I just put his channel link in the chat. So that's Etai Coaster Fanatic. Anything you want to say here, Chris?
I've seen Etai's channel. Got to meet Etai at Hollywood Nights, and he's a super nice guy. So I check him out.
He seems nice. Angelo Giles has just reached 3,000 subscribers. He mostly has been doing more recently, like more news videos. and a few other, like
interviews and stuff.
yeah, and even videos that aren't necessarily coaster related, but a great channel. So he just reached 3,000 subs. Also did a podcast with Coaster Daddy a few months back. So if you haven't seen that, check that out. The next channel I have is a very large one, more of a theme park channel than anything else, but Defunct Land just recently reached 800,000 subscribers, which incredible. Just a huge milestone, obviously, a huge number. I don't watch his videos that much, but whenever I do, it's usually very good.
Yeah, watch his Hong Kong Disneyland video. That's probably the best one that he's done. In terms of, I mean, he's done some things on like Dragonfire and Son of Beast, but I think the Hong Kong Disneyland one was probably the most interesting.
I'll have to check that one out. I don't think I've seen that yet, so I definitely will check that one out later. Another channel that reached a milestone is OK Coasters. As you know, he has some of the best editing, really, of any at least
best editing, best storytelling, best narration. He puts a lot of work into his videos, so he doesn't post that often. But when he does, it's worth sitting down and watching it. It's not background noise. It's something you actually have to watch.
Yeah, his videos are very well done, very well put together. And yeah, his editing is top notch. He should have more subs for sure. But he's getting closer to 10K, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's growing. He's growing a lot.
Yeah, he's growing quick. So I think he's getting there. Incredible channel for sure. And for the last channel that reached their a milestone this week was Destination Thrills. Just reached 5,000 subs. Very, very interesting channel to watch.
Another excellent edited channel.
Yeah,
like top notch, probably top 5 best editing I've seen on a coaster channel.
Yeah, they should. And yeah, they hit 5,000 subscribers this week, and hopefully there's more to come. Now, some coaster YouTubers that are getting closer to their goals, or I guess milestones, I guess. Amusement Insider. I know that I have to try to. This is the guy who has done construction updates on Velocicoaster and does the release the No Limits POVs of Velocicoaster and Iron Gwazi, not Amusement Insiders, not to get confused. But he is less than 900 subscribers away from 25,000 subs. I think he's been growing more recently, at least more than he had in the past, probably because of Velocicoaster and because that's such an exciting project.
If you want to grow your channel, talk about Universal stuff. It's just insane how people who talk about Universal will get just tens of thousands of views on everything.
Well, Universal, they have a lot going on right now, just in general. I mean, you have Super Nintendo World going to Universal Studios Japan and Velocicoaster going to Islands of Adventure. So a lot to talk about for sure. And the last channel that is getting closer is Great American Coasters. Is actually here on the stream. He is about 100 subscribers away from 4,000 subs. Your channel, really good. And if you guys haven't subbed to him yet, make sure to. His videos are very good. And that is all the shoutouts. If you didn't click the links, you can do it later. I have all the links in the description, so make sure to check that out later if you want to. The next thing we'll do is another Q&A session, because I know there were a lot of questions you guys had asked, and that's pretty much yeah, if you guys had questions from earlier that we didn't answer, then you can put them here now. Or if you have new questions, this will be another Q&A session. And then after this, I'll be asking questions for you, the viewers. So if you are new to this, I'll be asking you, the viewers, questions and be talking about your responses. So that's that. So, what are our thoughts on Kentucky Rumbler? I don't believe you've ridden Kentucky Rumbler. Didn't you say you haven't?
Yeah, that was one of the 2 GCIs that are operating in the US that I haven't ridden. It's just one of those parks that's hard to get to. Like, you don't really pass by it when you're going anywhere. You kind of have to. It's kind of like in southern Kentucky. I really want to make a point to get there one day. But yeah, I've heard that it's kind of average, maybe below average. But it's hard to judge it without riding it.
That's for sure. I've seen POVs here and there. It looks kind of fun. Nothing absolutely crazy, but definitely one I would love to ride it one day. I mean, that's basically any GCI outside of Roar at Six Flags America, which I could probably do without.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
have you been on Great Escape's Comet? And if so, how do you like it? This is for you.
Great Escape. Another park I was supposed to go to this year that I couldn't. I've heard that the Comet is awesome and worth the trip to Great Escape. But again, haven't ridden it, so I can't say.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't ridden it at all, but it looks very good. Like one I definitely want to ride.
Mhm.
Might be my top bucket list coaster in New York. I think I'd say so. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. Although Coney Island Cyclone also looks
Coney
fun.
Island Cyclone's really good. I rode it last time 5 years ago. It was still running like great. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one I also want to ride really badly. Hobbies besides coasters, I'll post now that I am not having a banner. I'll just post this here. But hobbies outside of coasters, you want to go first?
Big sports fan. I follow baseball very closely. I even did a baseball video on Stark Raven Sports a couple months ago. Um, and I follow the NFL pretty closely too. And then I'm kind of like a casual basketball and college football fan. So yeah, if I'm not doing coasters, I'm usually doing sports. So like if I'm not watching coaster videos on YouTube, I'm watching baseball videos usually.
Pretty much the same thing, but I watch more football videos. I don't watch a whole lot of sports outside of NFL football, but I'm really into that. Of course, my team's the Atlanta Falcons, which I hope they kind of
Sorry.
tank right now, so
Yeah,
we
at
can
this
get
point, at this point,
Trevor.
you're better off just trying to get a good pick.
Yeah, we need. I don't think it'll happen, but if we could get Trevor Lawrence, that'd be fantastic. But definitely NFL. That's something I like to watch, and then also I like just traveling in general, not just to amusement parks, but also to different cities, landmarks, aquariums, zoos, museums, things of that sort. So, I mean, I've been to Mexico City, Philadelphia, and Washington D.C. and various other cities just to like check them out. So that's definitely something I like to do. And I also will ski from time to time. Not haven't done it super recently, but that's also something. And snorkeling, that's another thing. When I get the opportunity, I'll do that. Only in warmer water though, because I just can't stand like the cold ocean here in California. So yeah. Um, we already went out. Someone was asking thoughts on Intamin impulse coasters. We already mentioned that. Someone else actually asked that earlier. Uh, but let's see. Um, let's see. Oh, who are our favorite manufacturers? That was what the Coaster Scorpion asked.
You want to go ahead?
Um, Man, I almost yanked my thing off. Sure. Okay, I have answered this a few times, but even still, it's like kind of tough. Based off what I've written, I would say RMC. Just because I've written 5 RMCs and all of them they're in my top 11, which is kind of specific, but that's where they are because Joker's number 11. But honestly, I think if I got to ride more of their coasters, Intamin would be my favorite.
I thought it was Intamin for me also. But then I did my top 50. I realized I only have 4 Intamins in my top 50. And that was kind of shocking. And the Intamins that I kind of trash the most are Maverick, I-305, and Skyrush. So I was kind of like, maybe it's not Intamin. So I've ridden 14 RMCs, and all of them are in my top 50 pretty solidly. So it's got to be RMC.
Yeah. Advice on making a successful coaster YouTube channel. I'll let you go first with this, Chris, if you have anything.
Yeah. So I basically tell everyone to do something different. It doesn't have to be like super different, but just kind of have your like identity that you do. Like if it's really good editing or like a certain series that you have that kind of stands out from the rest. Like if you're just going to do reviews or POVs or countdowns with background music, it's not really going to take off. I also think that you should not skimp on the quality. So if you're wondering if you should get that nice microphone, then do it. because you're gonna look back on your videos if you ever do make it big, and look at your old videos and cringe at how bad the quality was with the audio. So I just say don't skimp on the quality and make sure you put the time in, and then also make sure you upload consistently. Some people have great channels, but they only upload like once every month or 2 months, and you can't really grow your channel if you're not putting stuff out there at least once a week.
Yeah, it's with school, it's kind of tough to execute that, and I'll be honest, I mean, I've been struggling the past few months with doing that, but I pretty much agree with everything you said. Those are some great tips. I don't think I really have anything to add on outside of that. Those were good tips. Is Orion worth checking out? I think this is another one for you because I haven't written it.
Yeah,
So.
I was skeptical about Orion, and I was like, okay, this kind of looks like it might be middle of the road. I was really impressed with Orion. It ended up being my number 22 when all said and done, and it was my number 2 Giga. Actually, it was better than Millennium Force, so I definitely think it's worth checking out. And Kings Island itself is worth checking out, so definitely get to Kings Island.
What coasters are on your bucket list for 2021? For me, to be honest, I don't know what the heck I'm riding next year because I'm in California. So, I'd like to say West Coast Racers. Texas is a possibility always, but I'm not saying that's for sure going to happen, but it's a possibility. I always give it a possibility, like just any year, I guess at this point. So I guess maybe like Iron Rattler, New Texas Giant, something like that. And I guess since I'm planning on going to Gilroy Gardens whenever it opens, the Morgan Mine Train they have, Quicksilver Express, I guess that's kind of up there. But I really don't know what I'm riding next year, so not sure about that yet.
For me, I think it's definitely Iron Gwazi. Like as long as it opens next year, I'm definitely getting down there, one way or the other. And Pantheon, I'm going to try to get out to Pantheon when that opens. And I saw that Badger State Coasters was talking about Europe, and I'm trying to get there next year. It may not happen, especially if things are still kind of restricted or shut down. If that's the case, I might go the year after. But yeah, if I go over to Europe, I'm definitely looking forward to riding like Colossus at Heidi Park and Carnan. I might not get to the UK, but I'll probably almost for sure get to Energylandia. So we're talking about Hyperion and Zadra and their new Vekoma one. What's it called now? Aqualantis or
Abyssus.
Abyssus, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely one. Like Energylandia is a bucket list park. So those are all possibilities for next year. I think the most solid one that I'm going to almost for sure ride is Iron Gwazi.
Favorite onboard music of a coaster? You see, I haven't written anything that recent that has onboard audio. The only one I can think of is Incredicoaster, but that's okay, I guess. But I guess I'll just go with that because I can't think of anything else because I haven't ridden Space Mountain in a long time. So I'll have to say Incredicoaster for now.
When it's working, I love the X2 onboard audio going up the lift hill. It's just never working, but when it is, it's like it gets you hyped up. So I like it.
It hasn't been working for me the past few times, so that's kind of why I forgot.
Yeah.
Favorite college football team? I watch it a little bit, but I don't really root for teams that much. I guess I kind of like to just watch Alabama, see like some of their players play. And then also, I guess my local team, Fresno State, I'll watch them. But I guess I'll say Fresno State for right now because it's my local team. They sometimes make it in top 25, but they're not that amazing usually. But yeah.
I've always been a USC fan. It was more fun back in like the early 2000s when they had Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart and Richie Bush and all those really good players and Troy Polamalu. I admit that I don't really follow college football as closely as I used to, but for a while there, like USC was like the biggest show in town. So that was exciting back then.
I've been in the USC stadium because a few years ago I watched the Falcons play the Rams back when the Rams played there. So Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm.
Um, let's see. I'm trying to keep the time in mind. I guess we'll answer one last question. There will be one final like Q&A session later, like toward the end of the stream, but after the next question I find will uh I guess uh yeah, I'll move on to the next thing. Uh someone's asking agree or disagree enthusiasts that are only enthusiasts. Uh Wait, just for publicity or social aspect shouldn't be given as much attention. I don't really get that question, so I'm gonna I just tried to read it. I don't think there's that many people who do it for publicity or social aspects, so I don't really see. I'll find a different question. Um, oh, how does Boardwalk Bullet look? This is for you.
I rode Boardwalk Bullet 2 years ago, and I didn't think it was like spectacular. I thought it was like a good, fast-paced, compact, lots of head choppers, not much airtime or anything. I didn't think it was that great, but now I'm hearing all these people riding it and saying it's like in their top 25 coasters overall, and their top 5 or 10 wooden coasters, which didn't really come close to that for me. But it's been a while since I've ridden it, so I would love to get back on it and give it another try.
Boardwalk Bullet looks to me it looks absolutely amazing. I know it got retracked, I believe it was last year. It got retracked
Mm.
somewhat recently, and apparently it's running like incredibly. I hope I'm able to ride it when it's still running very well. And those night rides, I mean, I might just ride it at night, not even in the day, because it looks that much better and more incredible at night. It looks insane. So the next thing I have, of course, is my questions for you guys. So, and actually, well, before we get to that, I actually do have one question for Chris, and that is, how has the move been from California to Oklahoma? I know you're kind of sometimes you're in Oklahoma, sometimes you're in California, but how's the move been?
Yeah, so basically what happened is we bought the house over there, and then it closed. So I have a house over there, and then we haven't sold this one here yet. So we're actually working on it. It's actually in the process of going through the escrow process right now. So once we're out of here at the beginning of November, then I'll be officially over there, and I'll only have one place to live. So um, it's moving is a pain in the butt. A lot of paperwork, a lot of stress. But the drive over there is about 21 and a half hours, and we've been doing that on a straight shot without stopping. The last couple times we've done it, so it's rough. But I think it's a good thing for the whole family. So and it could be a good thing for riding coasters too. I'll be a lot closer to other parks that before I had this big giant desert between me and everything else. Now I'm a few hours from Silver Dollar City. I'm, 8 hours from St. Louis, like 11 or 12 hours from Kings Island in Great America. These are weekend trips. I could do that. I don't have to take an airplane. I can just drive up there. So that's exciting to be kind of closer to things than I am right now.
Seems like road trips would be a lot easier where you
Oh yeah.
are. Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean
that's definitely a
California, we're kind of in a
plus.
bubble over. We're kind of in a
Yeah.
bubble over here in California where we have a lot of stuff over here in California, but that's pretty much it. And if you want to get out of California, you have to take an airplane, unless you want to take a giant road trip.
Yeah, that's why I've only been to outside of California Adventure Dome, which barely counts because like uh I went when I was super little. I didn't even ride Canyon Blaster.
Mhm.
And then I've been to Hershey Park, Cedar Point, and Six Flags Mexico. So yeah, that bubble is pretty
The Six
tough.
Flags Mexico, that's a credit right there. I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm ever going to get that.
that's a pretty good one. I mean, Mexico City, it's an amazing city. So if you're into like touring around there, I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, for coasters, not a whole lot there, especially with like La Feria gone. So
Mhm.
yeah. For you guys, the viewers, some questions I have for you. What coaster manufacturer intrigues you the most of the ones that you haven't ridden a coaster from? Just kind of curious. Do you have a manufacturer that intrigues you, Chris?
I've ridden. I mean, there's not too many that I haven't ridden coasters
Yeah.
from. I guess I would say Golden Horse, just because of how sketchy they are. If I had to choose one, I mean, I don't think I've ridden a PAX coaster or a POX or whatever you call it.
PAX. I always called it PAX. but I've heard it a few ways now.
Hmm.
For
Yeah, some
me,
of those coasters that end up, the ones that you find in the news because something bad happened usually are the ones I haven't ridden yet.
there's several that you would think I would have ridden at this point, but I just haven't. If I wanted to go like off of obscure ones like that are like pretty much international only, I'd pick May Show because they did Big Boom and they have a few
Hmm.
interesting coasters. But for me, there's really two of them: S&S and Gravity Group. I haven't ridden any coasters from either of them, so those are pretty high. Coaster Scorpion says B&M. Man, you haven't ridden a B&M? Yeah, I definitely should. They're great. Most of them, anyways. There's a few exceptions, but yeah, definitely a B&M is great. Um, PAX Company. Someone also said PAX. Badger State Coaster said PAX. Robert Smith says Mock Rides. I've ridden a few Mock Rides coasters, but most of them aren't good. The only one
They're
I'd say
wild
is good
nice.
is
Yeah.
Manta. Yeah,
Manta's
and
good. Yeah.
yeah, and Coast Rider's awful. So,
God.
um, yeah, um, but Mock Rides definitely. I want to ride some of their more thrilling coasters.
Hmm.
You've ridden Copperhead Strike, so I know you've done that at least.
Yeah,
Uh,
Copperhead, Manta, and Time Traveler are like one of
oh yeah,
the
Time
newer
Traveler.
mocks that I've ridden. I was supposed to go to Australia this winter. I
Oh,
was I was gonna go in January and ride all the new stuff they were gonna put in. There's the new wooden coaster and the new spinning coaster that they were gonna put in along with DC Rivals. That was kind of in the plans to go this January, and with all the delays, and I don't even know if we can go over there, which probably can't. Um, it's better to maybe shoot for next January.
yeah, that's tough. DC Rivals looks so good, and like the new coasters also like Leviathan. At least,
Mhm.
probably by then they'll be open, so at least you're not risking that
Yeah,
like those.
I mean, their summers are winters, so they usually open their stuff in like November or December. So I figured by January it'd be pretty safe to go out there.
Yeah. Max says RMC. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't ridden an RMC, that's there's so many like all their rides are good at least. At least from what I understand, at least all the ones I've ridden are pretty good. Really good
They're all in my
actually.
top. They're all in my top 50.
And
I think the Raptors are the weakest, but man, I got some crazy great rides on Wonder Woman when I went to Fiesta last month. So I mean, if that's the worst, then that's a pretty good worst.
then for me, my worst is Joker, and that one's still like really good to me. I don't know
Mhm.
that it's the worst RMC. I haven't ridden other ones that people say are worse, but or most people do, but um, I don't know if it will be. RMC, yeah. I mean, RMC is. Oh, you live in Germany. That would be why. Yep, that would be very
Well,
difficult.
at
Well,
least Germany's got some great coasters. So,
yeah. And depending on where you live, Untamed isn't that far out of the way. So,
or Energylandia is on
oh
the
yeah,
border.
Zadra, yeah, or Zadra, however you want to pronounce it. The next question I have for you guys is, what would be a great coaster or ride name that doesn't already exist? I am not very creative at all, so I could not really think of anything for this, but I'm curious if anyone in the chat can come up with some cool names. So,
I was playing RCT back in the day when it came out. That's how old I am. I named some coasters Titan back when that was original, and then that got taken by Over Texas, and then I used to name a bunch of coasters Orion, and then that got taken by Kings Island. But no one's ever named a ride the Whopper,
oh,
and so that
that'd be
one's still
sick.
mine until someone takes that.
Someone said Barracuda. There will be
That's
a
a good name.
coaster that will be named that, but I don't believe there has been one yet that has been built. So at least if you were thinking about it that way, yeah, that's a pretty cool name. Dark Scorpion. Well, there is already a Scorpion, but you know that could be pretty solid. Uh, Twisted Bullet. That sounds like if they RMC'd Boardwalk Bullet, which I hope doesn't happen. I don't really think that's a very RMCable layout at
Not
all.
really, no.
Like at best they could just put their track over it. Like I don't really see what else they could do with it. But it's interesting for sure. Heat Seeker, that's actually good. I'm surprised there isn't a coaster named
That's
that, at least as
solid. I
far as
like
I'm
that.
aware. I like that, yeah. Solar Beam, interesting. Oh, Polaris, because Orion didn't get named. Everyone thought it was gonna be Polaris, but it wasn't. Pool coaster. It seems like a some water coaster would be named that. That'd be funny. Sonic Boom. It wouldn't be a bad name if the game that's named Sonic Boom wasn't so terrible, but it would be a solid name for sure. Midnight Walker. That'd be very weird. That seems like a Merlin like name they would go with.
Raging Wolf.
Raging Wolf.
Raging Wolf Bobs.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they could have gone without the Bobs, and it would have
If
been.
they didn't put Bobs, yeah, that would have been good.
I have a video. I have a video coming out next month of my best and worst coaster names, and I'll just say Raging Wolf Bobs is on that list of worst ones.
Yeah, it would have been good if they just didn't have Bobs. Twisted Tiger. They were gonna use that for tigers.
Another Busch Gardens, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Let's see. Let's see. Electronic Zam. I don't know what that is, but interesting. It's interesting just seeing these names. Like some of them, I mean, it seems like yeah, they could work, they could fit because some rides have really strange names. So I'd be like, yeah,
a really strange name was Mantis.
Yeah,
it's a weird name for a coaster. It's like okay.
Yeah, I mean, Cannibal also is that's interesting. I've grown on it though. Twisted Bonsai. That sounds like actually a good like water slide name or like a water park ride. Because there's like a bonsai pipelines. I think there's even a slide at my local water park called like just Bonsai. So yeah, that's interesting.
Spitfire, that's a good one.
Spitfire. Oh, they're actually that's at Six Flags Kiddie. They are naming a ride Spitfire, so it is getting there. Yeah, that is a good one.
Juggernaut's a good one.
Found a notebook and they came up with the name Twisting Timbers back in 2010. Dang, that's crazy. Juggernaut, yeah, that would be a good one.
I like any name that like is intimidating, like Behemoth and Intimidator, obviously. Yeah, that kind of fits in that box.
Voyager, yeah, there's Voyage, but we don't have Voyager yet. I could see it. That would be one that would make sense. Explorer Expressway sounds like a name they could use for like the helpful like Honda Express or whatever they call it nowadays. Sounds like a rename that could maybe work. The M&M and Takis Thrill Ride by Six Flags. They at this point like I've heard some people call like X2 like the Twix ride like at school or something like that because they have all those Twix advertisements. So I could see that. Razor Wind. Ooh, I like that actually. Twisted Lightning. I guess Lightning Ride. if they aren't like iBox it, that'd be something. A lot of interesting names here. Twisted Thunder. Yeah, a lot of interesting names. For sure. A lot of like ones I would have never thought of. These are very like creative and stuff. Just ones I would have never thought of. So, yeah. The next question I have for you guys is, which coaster do you want to be taken out, and what would you replace it with? Chris, you have one in mind for this?
Yeah. I'm gonna say Scream, and replace it with literally anything or nothing. That's fine. You can just take out Scream.
A new entrance. A new entrance.
Also, I was looking at my the live stream on my phone here. I realized that I'm like super pixelated, which is really strange because on the screen here I look like it's perfectly clear, but on YouTube it looks like crap. So that's weird. So I just changed I just went into the options. I changed it to high definition. I don't know if that'll help. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, Scream needs to be taken out, and it'd be like a perfect station for a Giga station. And they can like wrap it all the way around the back of the park, like behind Batman and Riddler. Then they can come back that way. So if Six Flags ever like hits the lottery and decides to do that, then that'd be great. And then they can send Scream somewhere else. Like Six Flags St. Louis can use it.
Yeah, really, anything with Scream, because Scream is just like, and then that way now they could actually put Floralist Strains on Riddler's Revenge, so that'd be worth it.
Mhm.
I'm really scared though. If you saw that new B&M stand-up patent, I have to wonder if that's like for like one of the either Green Lantern or Riddler's Revenge, because they have Floralist coasters. I wonder if they're thinking, ah, we'll just put in new stand-up trains and that's their solution. I really hope that's not the case. Some people were saying that would be the surf coaster, but yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Cedar Creek Mine Ride with a GCI wooden coaster. I don't know how that plot of land exactly is, but a GCI definitely would be good for
I
Cedar
had that
Point.
idea to take out Cedar Creek and then you put a GCI on there and then kind of use the Forbidden Frontier land before they had Forbidden Frontier. But now that they have that there, then I don't think it's really feasible to do that anymore.
If they can somehow fit in like a new family coaster there, I think I don't really like Cedar Creek Mine Ride, so and I think Cedar Point could use a newer family coaster. I think that would be something. Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis, replace it with an RMC Raptor. Six Flags St. Louis could use an RMC Raptor. And Ninja, I've heard more mixed things recently. Some people are actually saying it's okay, but a lot of people still don't like it. Chris, have you ridden Ninja?
Yeah. Yeah, Ninja was one of those rides where you're on it and you're just kind of hoping to get off in one piece. Because like it's not like, oh, it's rough. It's like it has like these transitions and like kind of like weird things where you just kind of feel like it might break your back. And so you're just kind of like, okay, just hold on as tight as you can until it's over, and then never ride this ever again.
Replace Demon at Six Flags Great America with an RMC Raptor. Oof, but like they'd have to get a larger scale one because otherwise, like a Jersey Devil or something, because otherwise capacity would be,
That park gets so crowded. It's insane.
yeah. The only feasible way is if they get like a Jersey Devil clone, and even that it would still probably be a nightmare. Um, American Eagle for an RMC T-Rex. If only they would. The RMC T-Rex is kind of dead right now, as far as I'm aware. So it's just kind of how it is at this point, which is unfortunate. Um, but yeah, I'll actually go into mine in a little bit. I didn't explain what mine would be. Mine's kind of weird. Wildcat at Lake Compounds. I think it's too old. Like it's too historic. It might not be the greatest ride in the world, but they're not gonna get rid of it, I don't think.
I missed out on riding that, but everything I heard about it is terrible.
Maybe it would benefit like from a retracking or something. It probably still wouldn't be that great, but they're not gonna get rid of it, and they're definitely not getting a B&M because B&M's too expensive, I would imagine. Um, but it'd be a nice fit. Skyscream at Holiday Park. The Skyrocket 2, really? You don't you would want it gone? I believe that is the Skyrocket 2.
It doesn't take up that much space, I can't
Yeah,
imagine. So.
like a gravity group twister. I don't even think it would fit in that plot. Like it's too small. Unless there's like like a decent amount of room around it, but yeah. Take out Darien Lake's Mind Eraser and just do nothing with it. Probably they would probably benefit from that. I haven't ridden that, but
It's in a really good spot. It's like right there at the front of the park. They could put something really like that looks really good there, and it would benefit the park a lot over that piece of crap.
what if Six Flags gives Scream the Frontier City? I guess that would LeBron can get that or something. Like just give it to them at this
Frontier
point.
City does have like a plot of land that's right across the pathway, and if they want to use that as an expansion, that'd be great. But just don't put Scream there, please.
Kong at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom and replace it with literally anything. That's the only SLC I've ever ridden. I thought it was okay. Like, I mean, it wasn't great by any means, but it wasn't that awful as I was expecting.
It's one of the worst SLCs I've ridden. It's up there with Mind Eraser at Darien Lake and Elitch Gardens. Those are the three worst that I've been on.
I rode toward the front, so maybe I got lucky. I don't know. I only ever rode it once, but it wasn't that bad. Blue Fire with an intense Gerstaluer Infinity. I know a lot of people don't like Blue Fire at Europa Park. There's so many clones of it. They won't do it because why would they replace a Mack Rides coaster with a Gerstaluer Infinity? But that would be cool. I would like to see that. Although I don't know that Blue Fire, it doesn't look that bad. But now that there's a lot of them out there, I could kind of understand that. I guess, let's see. I'll go into mine. The one I had is very strange. I don't know how realistic this is. I mean, this would never happen anyways because of Cedar Fair's relationship with Intamin. But you guys know I don't like Coast Rider a whole lot. It's my least favorite coaster I've ever ridden. Coast Rider, the Wild Mouse and Knots. And I would want them, if they somehow could, to replace it with the Intamin Hot Racer Infinity layout. It's said to be like the most compact racing coaster in the world. I don't know if it would be compact enough, but if somehow it could fit, that would be so much better. And finally, they would have a racing coaster again. So really, it'd be a great addition. So that would be my pick if somehow they could do that, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Like, just not at all. Rougarou with a Gerstaluer Infinity. I actually like Rougarou, but I think Gerstaluer Infinity would probably be better. And replace Flight Deck and Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland with a new coaster that takes up both plots of land.
That was I had that idea also. I mean, Canada's Wonderland has to purge. Cedar Fair's been doing a good job purging their bad rides, and they started doing that at Canada's Wonderland with Skyrider. They've been doing it ever since with a bunch of other coasters. But this would be a big addition by subtraction if they did this for Canada's Wonderland.
Canada's Wonderland has like four coasters that they like absolutely need to get rid of. I don't even know what you do in that like situation. I mean, I guess
they have two terrible wooden coasters.
Yeah.
Dragonfire, which is not that great, and then those two that are mentioned here.
Five.
That's five right there. And then there's a bunch of other ones that are just like whatever, like Thunder Run and their Wild Mouse to Fly and the Bat, the Vekoma Boomerang. So right there, you got 8 coasters. You have 8 coasters that are just like, it's just not good. So that's one of the reasons I didn't like Canada's Wonderland the first time. I was trying to get all the credits, and it was just like, it was a haul. And then there's like 3 kids coasters too. So you have to go through a bunch of crap to get to the good stuff there.
I think with that park, I generally like, sometimes I won't write all the credits, but if I realize it will work, I'll do it. But for Canada's Wonderland, I think I'm just gonna forget it because that park just has so much bad stuff. So many bad coasters and just so many weak coasters that it's just like, I'll just ride the good stuff. So let's see. I think take out Shell Razor and replace it with a Shell Razor without a horrible rattle. That would.
It's funny that Gerstaluer does this. When I rode Hang Time for the first time on opening day, it was like, why is this rough? And then Shell Razor, I rode it on its opening day also. Again, why is it so painful?
I didn't find it that rattly when I went. What was it? Scary Farm last year. It was one of the last few coasters I ever rode. So it was like,
yeah, I've had good and bad rides on it. But I remember just on opening day thinking like, wow, this is rougher than I would expect for a brand new coaster.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I like some of these rides that are so new. It's like, how are they so rattly? And I've been
Mind Blower. Yeah,
Mind Blower, and I've been hearing about it a little bit with Sandy's Blasting Bronco. I don't know, Nickelodeon Universe, I don't know what their deal is, but over in New Jersey, but yeah, they have something to work out.
Yeah.
So the next segment I have, which we'll go right into, is called What Out of 10. And for those of you who are new or haven't seen this in the past, basically what I do is I'll show 5 coaster POVs on here. And if you've ridden it, you can give your score. Or if you haven't ridden the coaster that I show, you can give your prediction score. And it's out of 10. You can put decimals, but I'll be averaging the scores using a calculator while I'm looking at the chat. And that'll be how we get our scores. So with that said, the first coaster that we have, I guess, for today is none other than... I don't know if you guys heard that. I didn't mean for it to play. But is Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I was pulling the video up so I can have it shared and ready to go. So I'll put the POV up here, and you guys can see for yourselves, or I guess rate it. So this coaster is interesting. I did ride it before it closed. Unfortunately, it was literally a year before it closed, and it was running horribly, and I rode it only backwards. But even with that, I would still give this coaster a score of a 7 out of 10, just because the layout seems okay, and honestly, I think in its prime it would have been a lot better. But I did have a terrible ride, so I couldn't give it any more than a 7. Chris?
I also gave it a 7. I think that this was absolutely one of my favorite coasters back in the day. I started riding this back in like 2000. So that was, it was still pretty old by then, and it had already been tracked over all the good parts with like the double down. But I just loved the big drops on this, even though there wasn't much airtime. It was just fast, and it had really great, like just a great double out and back layout. So yeah, I would give this a solid 7. Still one of the best coasters Magic Mountain's ever had.
Yeah, it looks it when it was in its prime, it looked great. Like just seeing some of the older POVs, but man, it's kind of sad that like how it was running in its later years. I'm actually I do wish I got to ride it earlier, but I don't think I would have been alive when it was in its prime. So
I think they've officially like tracked it over back in like maybe I want to say like late 80s maybe, or early 90s, maybe 91. So when they tracked it over. So that was definitely, I was only a few years old. So
and considering I was born in 2002, no way I would have been around.
No way. I started writing this before you were born, so yeah.
No, that's just unfortunate, but it did look very great at one point. I'm seeing a lot of 7s and 7.5s, and so I can definitely understand that. So put your scores in if you haven't already, and I guess I'll put in the chat the next coaster, so that'll be the cutoff for the scores, which in the next coaster will actually be Hellcat at Clementon Park, which is, well, it's a very interesting coaster, let's just say. I'll say that much. So I'll get the POV up.
The funniest is watching El Toro Ryan ride this with his reverse POV.
Oh, God.
If you haven't seen that, you have to watch it.
I actually was able, I asked him for permission for this. I have the forward POV for Hellcat that he recorded. So. And of course we get an ad. That's great. That's not, dang it. I hadn't been getting that this whole time. So I've been doing it. But yeah, Hellcat at Clementon Park. Here it is. It's a special ride.
This is one I have not ridden. Holy crap.
It's very rough. Like I said, this is the one that he recorded.
Yeah.
It's a special ride. I gave this a 3 out of 10 just because the layout didn't look awful, but this looks so badly maintained, and the pacing is just bad.
The only S&S Woody that I've ridden is Timberhawk, and it was not rough, but it was just so boring. And I wonder if this is kind of the opposite. Maybe it's rough, but somewhat not so boring, but it kind of looks, maybe it's rough and boring. I gave it a 3 because it's not a kiddie coaster, but it still looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not. It does not look great. So put your answers in the chat. This ride doesn't really look like the best, and just judging off the ratings I'm seeing, yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna have a very high score at all. I'm curious if any of you have actually ridden this, like actually, like I guess, like just say how it was, because oh my goodness, this ride does not look great at all. So that's pretty much that, and then I guess pretty much after I get the score, we'll be going into our next coaster, which is...
The United Flight asked if it's worse than Predator. I haven't ridden this, so I'm not sure. But Predator, I think I have that as the worst wooden coaster that I've ridden. So
it'd have to be pretty bad then.
Yeah, right.
I mean, oh man. All right, so I have the score in now, and I'll put in the chat the next coaster, which will actually be Montezuma's Revenge, or you can think about it as just Schwarzkopf shuttle loops in general, outside of what's it called? The one out, I forget which, Walibi Belgium, which has the LSM,
Right.
because that doesn't have the same launch. So, but yeah, Montezuma's Revenge is the next one. So
this was Montezuma's was really like my first big coaster. I think I want to say like the West Coaster might have been my first actual coaster, but Montezuma's Revenge was my first real like adult coaster, and I was terrified to ride it. So it kind of has a special place for me in terms of like the coaster that kind of launched me into coasters, pun intended. But these days it's kind of an afterthought at Knott's. It's kind of like, oh yeah, we'll ride it, and Sophie loves it. Which is nice, so we can ride it and have fun that way. But I gave it a 6.
I gave it actually a 7.5 out of 10. I know that's kind of high, but this also is a coaster. I mean, the launch is fun. It's just a fun ride in general. The loop's always great. It's just a fun ride, and like you, this is actually the first coaster I rode that I would consider, well, I guess maybe not the first big coaster, but it was the first that ever had an inversion I rode. I rode Ghost Riders before it got retracked that same day earlier, but outside of that, it was really my first major coaster.
Yeah.
So it definitely does have a special place for me. And yeah, I still ride it like pretty much every time I go to Knott's. It's such a classic.
It rarely has a line either.
Yeah.
You don't see it too often with a line. It has a long train too, which helps.
And that's also the ride where I witnessed someone like pretty much chicken out of the ride because they saw it had lap bars. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. Which that was a memorable moment. I'm kind of like, well, that's just how it is. I mean, I don't understand. Like, I can kind of understand it to an extent, but I'm just kind of like, really. It was like a 30-minute wait at that point, so he didn't wait too long, but still, that's more than you would want for like not writing it at all. All right, so I have the scores for this one. Also, thank you Theme Park Media for the $2 donation. I just saw that.
Oh yeah, Zach's going to be in my Halloween video and my Skyrush video, so that's exciting.
Your apology to Skyrush, or
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ran into him there, so he got to be in that video. But he's going to make an unexpected cameo in my Halloween video. He probably won't appreciate it, but we'll see.
That's going to be great. So that's Montezuma's Revenge, and it looks like everyone's put their score in. So the next coaster we have is another interesting one, another older coaster. This is Viper at Six Flags Darien Lake. This is the air looper. We are actually talking about Predators, so it's at the same park. I don't know if you've ridden this one.
Yep, I did.
Okay.
It's a solid ride. It was the first coaster to have 5 inversions in the world. I thought it was a pretty solid aero looper. Like, it wasn't. Sometimes you get aero loopers that are really good, like Viper and Vortex. And then sometimes you get some that are absolute trash, like Corkscrew. And this one was kind of in the middle. It was pretty enjoyable. Had a really nice first drop. You can see this drop's going to be like a straight.
Yeah, if you're in the back row. I've heard in the back row the drops actually.
It's pretty crazy.
Pretty good.
I think this was a solid ride. I also gave this a 6 along with Montezuma.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. I actually gave this one a 7. It looks solid actually, and the first drop also looks insane. The only thing is this mid-course, I don't know how badly it trimmed for you, but in the POV it trims pretty hard.
Well, if you get trimmed in the mid-course, you get more hang time on the corkscrews.
That's true. Yeah,
it's not really a huge deal.
That was what I had heard, but I was like, oh, okay, so it seemed fine. So
I only rode this once, and I don't really plan on going back to Darien Lake anytime in the foreseeable future, so I just have that one ride that I'm basing this off of.
Yeah. It's pretty far out of the way, isn't it? Even though it's in New York. Like, it's
it's up near Buffalo.
Like,
so it's you don't really pass by it that often when you're just kind of driving through. You're hitting your coaster parks. I hit it coming back from Canada's Wonderland. We came back through Niagara. Got to go to Fantasy Island also, and then we drove down towards Waldemere. So it was kind of on the way on that route, but just in general, it's kind of hard to pass by it.
Yeah, it seems pretty solid, but nothing absolutely incredible. But hey,
Yeah,
it looks
the
cool.
park is very solid. Like I think it's a very solid park. Like it's not great or terrible. It's just like I think Six Flags can do a lot with that park. It's very large. Like they have a camping ground and everything. So if they wanted to make that a destination, they could.
Hopefully they actually do that because that would be great. And we got another ad. I had gone on a roll without getting these, and I think the reason why is because I usually use park
Oh yeah,
POVs. Yeah, this is also I'm able to use attraction spots POV here. This is for SpongeBob SquarePants Rock Bottom Plunge. I should have put that out there. It's my bad. But this will be for SpongeBob. Have you ridden this one?
no, I was supposed to this year when I was going to go up to Valley Fair, but I don't even know I don't even think it's open this year. Did it? The mall and the rides.
I don't believe it did.
No.
Because
So,
I don't. Did Valley Fair open? I don't think
No,
so.
Valley Fair
No.
never opened.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get there next year. I might take a week and just head across the northern U.S. and just try to hit all the parks I missed out in this year, if they're open next summer. I gave this just based on how it looks, it's a 7. It's kind of
Yeah, I
like a
gave it a
poor man's
7.
Shellraiser.
Yeah.
It's like Shellraiser does almost everything better than this, but this is not supposed to be Shellraiser. It's smaller, but for what it is at this small compact park, I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, for the park's pretty small, so it seems it seems pretty good. Really, these Gerstaluer Eurofighters for smaller parks, they're great sort of rides and additions. And that's actually why I was kind of jealous. I have a cousin who lives in Portland, and they got Adrenaline Peak.
Yep, I wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, dang it. I'm in Fresno. I want them to get something like this.
Yeah.
I don't know where they would put it, but
perfect small scale coasters. Like it's got the vertical drop and the inversions. It's got a lot of the great elements in a very small package.
My cousin, he isn't much of a coaster enthusiast, but he enjoyed that ride a lot, so that was cool. And it seems like it went a great ride for what it is. So yeah. You've ridden this coaster, Cloud's ridden this coaster over 100 times. Yeah, because you're in Minnesota, so makes sense. It looks fun. Nothing, like I said, absolutely incredible. That's kind of the theme with these. I didn't want to put in like one absolutely insane coaster because obviously it would just win by a landslide. So I kind of mixed in some coasters that I thought were kind of like just kind of odd or interesting. So that I got through RCDB randomly, so that's pretty much that. But it looks like all the scores are coming in very similar. It's like a bunch of 7s. That's like pretty much the theme, it seems like, with these coasters. A lot of 7s outside of Hellcat. So that's pretty much that. I think I got the score. And then, so now I'll go into, I guess, kind of ranking these in terms of the score they got. So let me take that out, and here we go. So for the scores, in 5th place with a score of 2.73 out of 10, we had Hellcat. It does not look very good at all. It's just not a great ride. In 4th place, we actually have Viper at Six Flags Darien Lake. It looks pretty solid, but nothing that incredible, at least to me. In 3rd place, we have SpongeBob Rock Bottom Plunge with a 7.22 out of 10. Like I said, a lot of 7s, so to be expected. Looks like a fun little ride. In 2nd place, barely ahead of Rock Bottom Plunge, was actually Montezuma's Revenge with a 7.26 out of 10. And then our number 1 was Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain with a 7.41 out of 10. And honestly, just from the looks of it, it running in its prime, it probably would have been my favorite coaster out of the 5. I mean, I haven't ridden like 3 of these, but it just seems like it probably would be the one I would enjoy the most.
Yeah, I would rank that the highest of all of them. It would be between that and Montezuma, but I think I gave Colossus a little bit of a higher score.
Yeah, I guess I did give Montezuma a bit of a higher score. I kind of wanted to counter it because I think in its prime it could even be like an 8 or a 9, but I was like, I had a bad ride, so I was kind of like, I didn't want to rank it that high, just because of my experience. But there we have it for our what out of 10. So the next thing we have for the stream is the topics to talk about. Me and Chris are going to be talking about some topics. A few of them, you the viewers can give like your answers. One in particular that we'll be doing in a short moment. But the first, I guess, sort of topic was that I wanted to talk about with you was back in 2018. You did a huge cross-country trip during the summer where you visited several parks in the span about like over a month. What were a few of your favorite memories and things you kind of learned on that trip? Because I don't know if you had done a trip that big. Like, I don't think you did. You had a trip that big before that. So,
no, my biggest trip other than that was probably almost 2 weeks. And this was 3.5. So this one probably doubled the longest trip I took. And the goal here was just to hit every single major park on the way. Because I had never been to Carowinds. I'd never been to like Six Flags Over Georgia or Silver Dollar City. There were so many, or Six Flags St. Louis. There's so many like really big parks I hadn't been to, and so many experiences I hadn't gotten yet. And I thought that if I was going to do a YouTube channel, I was going to have to ride all of these major coasters. And so what I did is actually started the channel a few months before that trip, so I could talk about some of my expectations, and then I was going to make my channel based on that trip. So I would say the thing I learned the most about that trip was just how to pace yourself on a long trip, because in the past we would go out for a week or so, and it would just be like we would get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night just for a week, and we just go all out. But if you do that for 3.5 weeks, you'll probably pass out. So we had to learn to kind of like, okay, we're not going to stay till close. We're going to stay till 4 or 5, and then we're going to be on the road, and we're going to get 7 hours of sleep every night and make sure we don't get run down. That means that we can't marathon coasters 10 times like we normally would. We'd ride everything once, and then we would ride the good stuff twice, and then we would leave. So that was like really the thing. But in terms of like memorable moments, it's probably like the greatest like coaster situation that I had was when I went to King's Dominion. I got to ride Twisted Timbers 6 times in a row. And then we left, we went to Carowinds, and I got 7 night rides on Fury without having to leave my seat. So that one day got the marathon Twisted Timbers in the morning and Fury at night. It's kind of bizarre to think about, but that was still like up there in like the best coaster days I've ever had.
That's pretty crazy, actually. Yeah, and those Fury at night. I mean, that seems absolutely insane. 9 rides, that's incredible. So I can definitely understand that. For our next topic, we have our 4 most anticipated coasters in Asia. Obviously, neither of us, we haven't really ridden any coasters in Asia unless they'd somehow been relocated. I guess Boomerang at Knott's, it's in Asia now, so I guess I've ridden that. But I guess pretty much for this, I'll start off with my number 4 most anticipated coaster in Asia, and you guys in the chat can also put in your top 4. And I guess before I do that, some honorable mentions that didn't make it here: Dododompa, Darling Dragon, Wood Coaster, Python and Bamboo Forest, Flying Dragon, Red Fire, which is the ice speed clone with lap bars, Pyrenees, Flash, and Big Boom. Those are also very high up.
Dododompa didn't make your list?
Nope. Pretty close, but it didn't. My number 4 is actually Jungle Dragon at Happy Valley Chongqing. This is the GCI coaster that it's very Airtime based. I almost snapped the thing off. And to me, it has I think it has the strongest layout of all the GCIs, at least for me, my preferences. And it appears to just have pretty incredible pacing and a few nice lateral moments. So that's pretty much me with Jungle Dragon. Mostly the Airtime though is what I really want to experience.
Mm-hmm. The wooden coasters in China don't really stand out or shoot out at me or anything, except for Wood Coaster at Night Valley. That's the one that looks the most impressive, just based on the speed and the terrain and everything. So I'd probably put that as my number 4.
Wood coaster does look incredible. It's just the it looks great, but for me, it's just I prefer, or at least I think Jungle Dragon will serve my preferences in a layout better. But Wood coaster looks also really incredible. My number three is actually T Express at Everland, obviously the Intamin prefab. People who've been there and ridden it, I've heard mostly amazing things. Some people are saying that in more recent years it hasn't been running as well from what I've heard, but it still looks absolutely incredible. That first drop, I mean, El Toro's first drop is crazy, so at least from what I've heard, so I can imagine this one would be as well. And that first airtime hill looks mental. It looks insane. And even though like the second half of the layout is basically just Baldur, it's like Baldur on steroids. So you can't really go wrong with
You
that.
still get good airtime out of it, so it seems like it
Yeah.
combines the best of both.
That's kind of what I figure. I'm like it I don't really think that's that much of a criticism. It still looks absolutely incredible. So T Express at Everland in South Korea is my number three.
I would also put T Express at number three. I was just jotting things down. I was thinking more of Japan than Asia in general. So I'm gonna have to kick Steel Dragon 2000 off this list. If we had a top five, it would be on that list because just for the fact that it's so huge and so long,
Yeah.
it'd be quite an experience. But I don't think it's quite stacks up to the experiences for these other coasters. And I think T Express would be awesome, but I don't think it would be too much different than El Toro. So if you've ridden El Toro, you kind of know what to expect.
I haven't ridden it yet, so it would be higher for me, I guess.
Mhm.
Number two for me is Hakuge at Nagashima Spa Land. Really, this one was a coaster that I didn't have that high of like thoughts on. Like some people, I think during a Q&A before it opened, I said at best it would probably be a mid-tier RMC before we all saw how crazy the pacing was and just how incredible it was really. The coaster looks absolutely incredible. The pacing looks top notch when it's running at its best. The location of the ride, like it's beautiful. And some of the airtime moments look also incredible. The layout is pretty interesting for an RMC. The like kind of double up elements interesting, but there's also it's just a very interesting layout. But it looks absolutely amazing. The pacing is really what I'm looking forward with Hakuge because it looks unbelievable.
Yeah, Hakuge, I didn't put that on here. Same with like Fujiyama. Same with Takabisha. I didn't put those on there just because even though they probably would be in my top three favorite coasters there, I wouldn't anticipate them quite as much just because they're similar to things that we have here. So does Hakuge really feel that different than Steel Vengeance? I would say no. So I wouldn't be looking forward to it as much as some of the other more unique coasters in Asia.
Makes sense. I guess that does make sense. I mean, I have ridden 5 RMCs, so I guess it's still it looks different enough for me. So I also have it high up there. But my number one is kind of like a 1A 1B situation. It's Ijanika at Fuji Q Highland, but you could have like Dynaconda as like a 1B. But yeah, Ijanika is my most anticipated coaster in the entire world. Yes, I've ridden X2, but this looks like X2 on steroids pretty much, and better in pretty much almost every way you could imagine. So not really much else I can say there. It just looks amazing.
Yeah, like for my number two, I would put Dota Donpa just because of that incredible launch. They say it feels like getting hit by a car, so I guess I want to see what that feels like. And Aijanika would be my number one because it's X2, but with Goliath's height, and it has these just insane looking elements that X doesn't have. So I would still, I mean, I could interchange Ijanika with Dota Donpa, but I think I'd put Ijanika number one.
Yeah, Dododonpa, like I can understand that. It probably would be my number five on here to be honest. The launch is super powerful. To basically like getting shot out of a gun. Basically is how people have described it. But and Asia just has so many interesting coasters like Big Boom. I mean that's kind of I guess similar to what you said with El Toro. I mean it's not obviously the same kind of ride, but the first drop very similar. But that's
Mhm.
also up there for me as well. I'm just curious, in the chat, maybe some of yours. Badger State Coasters says, if I can pull it up here.
Is that Sophie in the background? Yeah, I think they're playing Mario Kart downstairs. So that's going on.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or which one?
64.
Oh, real. Oh,
The
64. Nice.
The 1996 version. Yeah.
Nice. I haven't played it on the Nintendo 64 in a million years. So
yeah, we just dusted that off. We just dusted it off for the
Yeah.
first time in like 10 years, and now
Wow,
we're all
that's
back to
crazy.
being addicted to all the awesome games on there.
Badger State Coaster says Ijanika, Hakuge, T Express, and any of the gravity groups in China. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Darling Dragon looks incredible. No, that's the gravity group I think of. I think the most when it comes to the Chinese ones. Ijanika, Dododompa, Hakuge, and T Express. So like yeah, Dododompa. I a lot of people have it up there just because of the launch, and it does look incredible. If only I do wish they kept that top pad element though. Like the
Yeah, me too.
airtime was apparently just
It's too bad.
amazing. Yeah, that
But
probably would have put it up there in my top 4 easily.
you still come for the launch, but
Yeah.
that top hat would have been awesome.
It would have been like like pretty much the whipped cream on top. I mean, the loop, it doesn't look that amazing to be honest.
I didn't get the
so-
red hypersonic either. That would have been awesome.
Oh yeah,
That was
one
I went there in
too.
2008, and this last year was 2007. So I missed it by a year.
That sucks. Yeah, that was another one that would have been great. Hakuge's up there, yeah. Steel Dragon, that's not one that'd be very high for me. I know you said if maybe if we did a top 5.
Yeah,
It's not
just
even
for the length.
I
Just for the length.
guess, yeah.
In the
For
size.
me, I mean, even though it's a Morgan, I have a goal to ride every Morgan before either one of them goes defunct or something. So I would want to ride it because of that, but it's not that high of a. I guess I'm not too excited for it. Pretty much I only made that Morgan goal because I rode El Ultimo Escape. I'm like, well, if I've ridden one of the most obscure ones, so I might as well go for them all.
Yeah.
I still have to ride the 2 in California though, so but I'll get there. Wood Coaster, Ijanika, Hakuge, and Takabisha. Takabisha, just because we have Shellraiser, I would just not include it on my list. But if it were,
That's
by
kind of how I
itself, it
felt
would-
too.
Yeah,
Because I mean, Shellraiser's amazing. Like one of my top 25 coasters. But it's I wouldn't anticipate it because I've already pretty much ridden it.
yeah. I mean, it might be like it probably doesn't have as much of a rattle, so at least I've heard, which is kind of sad considering it's much older. But that's just, I guess, how it is. A lot of I'm looking through this. A lot of the ones are very similar. Like someone mentioned the Jungle Trailblazers. Those are the other gravity groups. Yeah, but a lot of the same ones. There's definitely the top few seem to be. The top few in Asia are like really really good. So I can understand that. Okay, so the next thing I have is visiting parks in 2020. There's some of us in the chat who were able to visit parks, and others like me and other people in the chat probably who haven't. So what were maybe some of your... I know you actually did recently do a video on this, going over like the 10 worst and 5 best outcomes to come out
Yep.
of
Yeah, I
the
just released that a
pandemic.
couple days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that when I made the topic, but in your experience, what were the things that you liked that maybe you saw out of this, but maybe the things that you probably like your biggest pet peeves are the things that you disliked the most when it came to visiting parks this year?
Yeah. Like on the list on the video I made, the top ones were kind of big picture things like delayed rides, closed parks, the future of the industry financially. But we were just talking about visiting the parks. Reservations were kind of a pain. It cost me kind of a lot of money because I had to cancel some trips. But I bought the tickets in advance so I can get that reservation. And then I ended up with tickets I couldn't use or get refunds for. So that sucked. Just going on the rides and having the half capacity trains was kind of rough. It really made the lines go slower and a lot of assigned seating. I have this weird thing where I don't like the front row of RMCs. Like the RMC have 2 cars. I always like to the back because it's just kind of awkward for me to ride in the front. I like riding the back because I hold on to the seat in front of me and get better airtime that way. And unless you got the very back row, you're pretty much stuck with a front row seat. So like a Steel Vengeance, I got a second to back car, but I got the front row of that second to back car. So it wasn't as good. And everyone was trying to grab the back row. So it was kind of, I didn't really like that. The masks weren't really that bad. It was kind of a pain in the butt. But unless it was really hot and humid, it didn't really bother me that much. Especially at Kings Island, it didn't bother me at all because it was a lot cooler that day. But there are some other parks where I went to where it was like, oh my God, and like I can't breathe. And like Cedar Point was just miserable. Yeah. So those are the things that really stand out, just in terms of just the whole experience of going to a park this year. But I wasn't really complaining. I was lucky to go anywhere this year, let alone take a pretty decent trip in September. So you just take what you can get. I just hope that next year it's not like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from, I mean, you mentioned this in your video, that there are some days where you're at parks, I believe, that you didn't really feel like you kind of forgot you were wearing a mask, and then there was others where it was just
miserable. Kings Island was really the only one where it was like, oh yeah, I forgot I had this thing on. That's because it was a lot cooler that day. But I remember at Cedar Point, I was standing there, I was like, I will never complain ever again about a hot day as long as I don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah, man. I can't even imagine doing like Florida this year. That would have been brutal.
I've never been to Florida in the summer, let alone Florida in the summer with a mask on.
Oh, yeah, that would be brutal. I'm like, man, I don't know how I'd do that. That would be crazy. Hopefully things are better next year. But yeah, alrighty. And then the last thing is, and we kind of talked about this, California parks not being open. What issues do you think this could cause, or what things are you maybe concerned about with the California parks not really opening right now?
The thing I'm like the most concerned about the California parks are the small ones, like Adventure City, or Castle Park or Fiesta Village. The small one, or even Gilroy Gardens, even though it's a Cedar Fair park, they might have a hard time coming back from it, especially since they might not be able to open for a while. Like, you think, oh, next year, but maybe not next year. Who knows? So that's the big concern, that some of these parks may never open, period. As for the bigger parks, you just won't see the big investments in them. Like California's Great America was supposed to get a lot of big investments, like a big hypercoaster, or Magic Mountain's Raptor, or anything else that, like Discovery Kingdom's been getting a new coaster every year. You probably won't see that, at least for several years now, because they're going to be trying to make up all that money. And even when they are allowed to open, are people going to come? It's just not just whatever the lawmakers say, it's just what people are feeling about, putting themselves out there. So they may not want to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough. I am very concerned about those smaller parks as well. Specifically, the ones that come to mind for me are Santa Cruz and which I've been to, of course. Belmont Park and Adventure City, as you said. Those ones, I'm like, I really hope they don't have to close because of this, because that would just be awful. And I guess if you live around those areas, when those parks open, you should probably visit them so they can have good business, because they're gonna be probably having issues. Like, well, I mean, they're obviously having issues right now, but even when they open, it's gonna be
that'd be a good point to make, to get there and buy food there, just whatever you can do.
Help them out. And then the additions, that's going to be unfortunate. Fortunately, it looks like the Magic Mountain Raptor, like I said, it looks like that's happening, because we had there was a thing that someone found this week where it was something about a 2021-2022 coaster project, and like kind of worked for that. So fortunately, it looks like that Raptor is still happening, which is great. But after that, there's not going to be a whole lot, and that's just going to be with every park, probably in general, but probably California maybe even more than the other ones around. So that's definitely unfortunate. But hopefully things like they're able to open next year, and at least people like me are able to visit them. who weren't able to get that opportunity really this year. Even though I guess they were open for 2 months, but early in the year, so I didn't get the opportunity. So that pretty much brings us toward pretty close to the end of the stream. And this will be, and I'll open this part to final Q&A. You guys can ask any last questions that you have that maybe we didn't answer earlier, or any new questions. This will be another Q&A segment. And also, while you're doing that, if you could give any guest suggestions for maybe for the next episode, or future episodes, I should say, that'd be awesome. Just because I always am interested in who my viewers want to see. So that's
Rob
pretty
Alvey.
much that. That would be interesting for sure. I don't know. I don't know about that, but we'll see.
You can always reach out and see what happens.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's see what the questions are. Let's see. I just saw. All right. Thoughts on Coney Island's Luna Park not being open for a year? I guess that's the reality of what the world we're living in. I can't really say anything else. I hope that they're able to get through, or if not, they're able to get a new buyer. But it's rough for sure.
Yeah. I know that park right now is run by Zamperla. Hopefully they can have enough assets to keep it rolling. I'm sure it's a very popular destination point for tourists and people in Brooklyn. So really hope that it stays up. I really want to. I was planning on going there this year too, but maybe hopefully in the future.
Someone asked if, I think it's for you, if you live near Green Bay. No, Oklahoma's nowhere close as far as I remember.
I don't know if they were asking me that. But yeah,
I live in California, so no, that I do not live anywhere near Green Bay at all. I've never even been. But I'd love to see a Packers game one day. That'd be nice. Just for historic, because the team's so historic and everything. Let's see. Thoughts on Thigh Crush?
You're gonna get my full thoughts on Monday.
He's gonna answer that. And for me, it's my number 3 coaster I've ever ridden. I really like it. Yes, especially on the brake run, the restraints are very much a pain, but I can tolerate it. So the ride has absolutely incredible airtime, an amazing first drop, and some very forceful elements, or I guess especially the turn after the first drop. So I kind of go more in depth in my lists that I've made. So that's pretty much my thoughts.
I will tell you this, that when I finished the ride the last 2 times I rode it, I wasn't in terrible pain. I was still stapled, but I wasn't in terrible pain. So that kind of changed my outlook on the coaster a little bit, but maybe not in the way people would think. So that'll be a fun video.
Alrighty. Yeah, I can't wait to watch that. For better or for worse. Stamford Bridge, this is a question for you, Chris. Would you be disappointed if Sophie grows up and isn't a coaster enthusiast? I wouldn't say so, but
I don't really care about if she's an enthusiast. I mean, I would really like it if she would like to ride the rides, which by all accounts she does. I mean, when I was 8, I think I may have had 1 credit. She has 54, and she's ridden. It seems like every time she rides something big, she really enjoys it. Like right before the Magic Mountain shut down, she rode Superman at Magic Mountain, and that's like one of her new favorite coasters. So it seems like, and she rode Montezuma's Revenge also shortly before it shut down. So it seems like when she's not afraid and she doesn't get bothered by the forces, it seems like she really enjoys it. So I don't care if she becomes like a coaster freak or anything. But if she likes to ride it, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely understand that. Coaster Cloud asks if you are planning to go to Minnesota next year.
I think so. It's not going to be that far from my house in Oklahoma. When I say not that far, I mean, like 10 or 11 hour drive. But I really wanted to hit those northern Midwest parks that never opened this year. I was supposed to go this year, and I'm going to try to hit those up next year and maybe go to Europe also. I do have a lot of vacation time to burn, so I'm going to try to do both, but we'll see. I definitely want to get to. I want to get the last two Cedar Fair parks I haven't been to, which are Valley Fair and Michigan's Adventure, and hopefully next year I can make that one trip.
Yeah, I mean, those two parks are kind of out of the way, so getting them done would be great for sure. Someone asked me if I had ever thrown up on a coaster. Not on a coaster. Due to a coaster, yes, but not on a coaster. When I mentioned Batman the Ride and Riddler's Revenge, I was feeling sick, and for whatever reason, we decided to go to a restaurant, and I ate a little bit, and I threw up. So that's pretty much that. That was pretty much that, but never on a coaster.
I threw up because I ate
Yeah.
I ate too much ice cream, curly fries, and corn dogs at Six Flags Over Texas in the blazing heat, and that made me toss my cookies in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So that was 3 years ago. I've learned a lot since then. So no more of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what it is. Favorite B&M looper. Well, okay. So for me, if we're going, by looper, I assume you mean sit downs or like just really, I guess, just non-flying or because if I were to say my favorite B&M is Tatsu, but it's not exactly, I guess, a looper per se. I guess I would say my favorite is Medusa at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. So, yeah.
That's a good one. I like Kraken a little bit better than Medusa, but they're both in my top, like very close to my top 50. But my favorite out of any of them is Montu at Busch Gardens, Tampa.
Oh yeah, Raptor. If we were counting inverts, then I would have that above Medusa.
Okay.
But I was thinking more like sit down or stand up.
Okay.
Favorite
for sit down, it would be for sit down for me it would be Kraken.
Yeah. Favorite gravity group. I have not ridden a gravity group, so
Voyage. I think people will be surprised where I put Voyage in my 2020 end of year rankings after the rides I got on this year. So definitely my favorite one.
Did you go during Hollywood Nights or this year?
Yep.
All right.
It was running great even before they turned the trims off. So that kind of gives me more reason to move it up.
Yeah, Voyage. I need to get out to Holiday World. Only thing is with Holiday World, the weird thing is with it is like I've thought about it. I'm like, would I want my first visit to be during Hollywood Nights or not? And I'm leaning more towards no, because I actually want to experience the park in a situation that's not like I don't know. It's just it doesn't feel like you're really. I don't know how to explain it, but because it's a coaster event, you're not really getting, I feel like, the same experience, but maybe that's just me. I haven't done a coaster event before, but I don't know. That's just kind of what I was thinking.
I think either way, it's. I mean, unless you don't want to judge it with trimless, just ride it during the day, and you'll get the same experience.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting question. Thoughts on skydiving and base jumping? I don't know exactly what base jumping is, and I've never skydived.
Skydiving would make me nervous. I don't think I would skydive.
Ooh, that'd be scary. I mean, I feel like I feel like I've done. I haven't done anything quite like that. I mean, I've done zip lines and whatnot, but skydiving is a whole different deal. You know, I probably would do like a sky coaster first or something. Just something, I don't think that's really that close to it, but I don't know. I'd probably work my way up a little bit with like some weird, like, I guess, upcharge attractions, I guess, if that makes sense. But it's not something I'd like be like, all right, I'm going to do that right now. And I've never done skydiving, like I said, so.
Yeah. I like sky coasters, though. I do like sky coasters.
Oh, you've done a few, so.
Yeah, I did the one in Kissimmee, the world's tallest
one.
Yeah, that was a rush. That was cool.
That's the one I'm planning on doing for my first one. Thoughts on the B&M surf coaster? We don't know what it is, so I don't think
it may be like a sideways stand up. It looks like a maybe like a Blitz style coaster. If that's the case, then that sounds great. It's interesting that B&M would do that.
On the topic of this, I just want to say something because I know there's a lot of. I guess a lot of people have been. There's a lot of like I guess people who think this. A lot of people think that the patent that came out that was a stand-up patent was directly related to the surf coaster. There nowhere in the patent is there any mention of a surf coaster. There is no actual like link to the surf coaster, so that may have nothing to do with it. I think it's still going to be like a launch like kind of blitz coaster, but without the stand-up aspect. And if that's what it ends up being, it should be great. So that's pretty much that. Um, do we have something to say about the lack of coasters in South America? Oh, so you're in Brazil. Um, the most hyped coaster is a Vacom. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah,
You don't hear anything about South American roller
yeah.
coasters. Like it's just not a topic of conversation. I just don't think there's anything noteworthy down there. It's probably just a bunch of clones and relocated coasters.
Oof, being in Brazil and being a coaster enthusiast, that'd be tough. I don't know how feasible a Mexico trip would be, but at least if you could do that, Six
It's a
Flags
lot.
Mexico has a few coasters. Medusa Steel and Superman El Último
Mhm.
Escape, great top
They
two.
have a nice collection there. Like they have a nice kind of a well-rounded collection.
Yeah, they could use a little more, like in terms of like better coasters. I really hope they eventually, with with everything that's going on, I won't hold my breath, but I would hope that one day they would get like a some sort of a launch coaster would be a
Hmm.
great fit for that park, whether it's an S&S or a Premier. That'd be
Yeah,
great. Weirdest coaster you have ridden? Well, you've ridden Lost Coasters, so
yeah. I made that video a couple months ago. Lost Coaster was the top of that list.
yeah. For me, I I forget which one. I've at this point I feel like I've said a few different ones, and that's really because there's not really a coaster I think I've ridden that's that strange. So I and honestly, I'm trying to think through it right now. I can't really think of one that's that bizarre, honestly. Like I don't really have an answer for that
Harley
right now.
Quinn. Did you ride Harley Quinn Crazy Coaster?
I haven't done that. I probably wouldn't consider that a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I actually went to Discovery Kingdom. I kind of wanted to ride it, but it literally ran one cycle and was done for the day. I don't even know if anyone was riding it. Literally,
Sounds right.
it like ran one cycle. I was like, oh, is it gonna open or can I at least like get some video footage of it? And it's like, nope.
Hmm.
That was a bad day for Discovery Kingdom. I had Batman under construction, the S&S Freespin, which I've never done one of those. Uh, there was Flash, which was getting repainted, and then there was Harley Quinn that was down. So Discovery Kingdom is not one of my favorite parks at all, just based off my visits. It's just it has potential, but it's just not there at all, at least in my opinion. Um, so that's pretty much that. This for you, Chris. Will you be working from home in Oklahoma? If so, any possibility of working while you travel?
Yeah, I do work from home now, so I made the move pretty easy just to start doing work over there now. And most of the people I work with are in the central time zone anyway, so it kind of works out. And as in terms of working while traveling, yeah, it's something that I've done in the past. You just put your hotspot on in the car, and it's basically the same as being home. Um, so if we do go to like Ohio or something like that, we it's very possible to put in a work day on the road.
That that's cool. Just having at least the opportunity. You're not like stuck somewhere. You can do your work while you travel. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, I've been doing that for a year and a half now.
Yeah, that's good to have. That's just that seems to be a very helpful thing for sure when
Hmm.
you're doing trips and all of that.
Yeah.
Favorite coaster or park T-shirt you own? I like the staple one that you showed earlier.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one. This is the only like a gag T-shirt that I've made and sold. I want to do more, but I just need to think of something funny and put it on a shirt.
I'm
Um,
actually I'm wearing my Fahrenheit shirt if you guys can see. Yeah, there you go. I like this one a lot. I like my Cedar Point shirt as well, the green one. I'd say those are probably my two favorites. I only have three, so
the
that's just how it is.
the best one that I mean I have a big collection, but the one that I probably cherish the most is my Son of Beast one that I got back in
Ooh.
'02. It's really beat up, but you can still tell what that it's a Son of Beast shirt. And I forgot to wear it at Kings Island the last time I went this last month.
Uh,
I just didn't think about it, but I whenever I go to Kings Island, I like to wear it because I get a lot of comments from the employees They're like, "Oh, Son of Beast." It's like, yeah, it's just it's kind of a classic.
Um, Diggin Barnes asks if you have ridden Boomerang at Knott's. Reason
Oh yeah,
being is because I've a lot of people know I did not like it at all. I rode it before it closed back in like 2013, and it sucked.
yeah.
So,
I mean, I've been riding that forever. I mean, I think I first rode that in like '98, and then I last rode it 2017, probably right a couple months before it closed. So yeah, I'm very familiar with Boomerang. It was the first coaster I rode that had more than one inversion. So those were back in the good old days when Knott's had like Windjammer and Perilous Plunge came along, and yeah, it just looks so much different now than it did back then.
favorite arrow besides X2.
Oh,
This is for
that's
both of us.
easy one for me.
What's yours?
Magnum.
Okay. You see, Magnum's probably my number 3. It's a fun ride, but I did not enjoy it as much as other people. Weirdly enough, I actually blame the restraints for it. I don't know. It's just kind. It was the airtime was painful. It was good but painful. Still an enjoyable ride, but I wasn't exactly getting off of it twice. I never was like. I never thought it was that amazing. But it still was a great ride for sure. Great classic ride.
Yeah, I had a great
But
ride this year. Like it was the best ride I had at Cedar Point that day. Was on Magnum.
but my second favorite is actually an aero coaster at Cedar Point that did surprise me, and that was Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini's great.
I didn't even ride it while it was racing because the only coaster that was down the day I went was like the one, like I forget, I think it was the blue side of Gemini.
Hmm.
So but even without it, like the airtime was great and the ride was just awesome in general. It blew me away. Because I didn't have that high of expectations for it. So that
Hmm.
is my number 2 arrow. Outside, well, my number 2, my favorite, I guess, outside of X2. Yeah. Coaster that left you the most disappointed. Chris.
Mm, for one, hang time at Knott's. I had just ridden Cannibal a couple months before that for the first time. I thought maybe hang time would kind of be like Cannibal, with the lap bars beyond vertical drop, the inversions. I hit the brake run and it was like, oh, okay, that wasn't that good.
Oof, there's a few. I can think. Hang time's actually one of them. Um, I just was like, I was thinking because I really liked Fahrenheit. I know it's a different coaster, but I'm like, okay, I'll probably like this a lot. It's still a good ride, but I prefer Fahrenheit way more over it. And a few other Magnum I would say is up there just because I think my expectations were too high for it. Another good
Hmm.
coaster, but that would be another one. And ooh, I'm there was one more I was thinking of. I just I know there was another one I was thinking of. I don't think it was quite as disappointing as those two. Oh, Valraven. I know you have it very high. I have it as my number 12 at the park right
Wow.
now. Um, yeah, I did not have the best ride on it at all. I think I got second row and I got stapled, so it sucked. It was not a fun experience at all. Really, I was not a big fan of Valraven, so that was another one I'd say that disappointed me. Um, so yeah. Number 1 bucket list UK coaster. Nemesis. That one's pretty easy for me.
I would also say Nemesis, probably more than the Smiler even. I take Nemesis.
Smiler is Smiler is just it's like one I'm kind of worried the ride because I'm like I don't know if I'll like it all that much or not. It looks great, but I'm just kind of like I don't know. Nemesis is definitely one that I'm like just because of like how they were able to use the terrain and everything. It's just such a incredible and unique ride for an invert. So it's definitely up there for me. Uh, Thoughts? Oh, okay. Wait, hold up. When do you think Six Flags will work with B&M again? Probably not this decade.
I don't see it happening. I just can't imagine unless they take a stand up and turn it into a floorless. I just can't see that happening in any point. Maybe at the big parks, maybe the big parks will invest in like a small dive coaster or something like Great America, Great Adventure, or even Magic Mountain. I mentioned that in my Viper, what will replace Viper video. I said maybe they might get a wing coaster or a dive because Magic Mountain, Six Flags might spring a little bit more for those big parks, but I still don't really see that happening.
Yeah, I would love to see it, but you know, it's probably not going to happen. Like anytime soon, and at best, we're talking probably like a small dive, maybe like a small wing coaster or something. But no, we're not. I would not expect it anytime soon, unless it's a stand-up conversion, like a stand-up train conversion from like,
Yep.
either to
Georgia
a floorless
Scorcher, yeah.
or like I said, the stand-up patent. Maybe it's for Riddler's Revenge or Green Lantern. They want a more comfortable seat, but they have a floorless coaster, so they're just gonna do that. That's the only ways I could see them working with B&M again, which is not really ways that a lot of people want to see. Thoughts on coasters in India? Honestly, I haven't seen too many of them, so I don't really know. Hot Wheels Nitro looks okay. That's the only one I can think
That's a
of.
floorless coaster?
That's the floorless coaster, yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about it. I mean, I
It
think it's
looks
kind of like
okay.
South America where they kind of have a lot of clones and relocations, but probably not a whole lot of standout coasters.
Yeah, they don't have the greatest collection, at least from what I've seen. Actually, I have seen one of the. They have some weird water coasters, but that's all I can think of. Outside of Hot Wheels Nitro, is let's see, is Jersey Devil supposed to resume construct? I have no clue. I hope so, but I have no clue if it'll resume construction in January. So
Hopefully. I mean, if they
I would
plan on
hope
opening
so.
it next spring, hopefully they get it done.
Favorite park day? I assume this means like favorite day you've ever had at a park. Ooh. I know I have Hershey Park as my number one, but the one day I had at Cedar Point was incredible. So kind of between my Hershey Park and my Cedar Point day is what I would say. I don't want to go too far into it because I'm probably gonna end the stream relatively soon. But those would be the two.
Yeah. My first day at Silver Dollar City, where I got a bunch of night rides, is probably up there, if not the best, one of the best.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna keep answering. We'll keep answering questions until about I'll say 2:28, I guess. Yeah, and then I'll kind of wrap up the stream. So that'll pretty much be that.
Okay.
So I'll try to answer questions from people that I don't believe I've answered questions from. What is your favorite RMC? Steel Vengeance. I'm pretty
Same.
sure. Yeah.
Wicked Cyclones, it's not close. It's my second, but Steel Vengeance is just like leaps and bounds ahead of anything else I've ridden.
I know a lot of you are new, so I'll just give my RMC rankings real quick. My number one, Steel Vengeance. My number two is Medusa Steel Coaster. My number three is Twisted Colossus. My number four is Railblazer at California's Great America. And my number five is Joker at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. All of them are in my top 11 coasters. Let's see. Best night ride coaster. I've had some amazing. I had like some amazing night rides on Steel Vengeance, but for this, I'm gonna say Ghost Rider. That thing is just so amazing at night. So yeah.
I mean, I did the Voyage trimless, and that's top of the class. But
Yeah.
but if it wasn't for that, I would also say Ghost Rider. You know, for a parking lot coaster, man, that's a crazy night ride.
Yeah, it's insane. Boardwalk Bullet though, that thing also looks insane. I really want to experience that. Boardwalk Bullet at night. That seems absolutely incredible. RMC hybrids or B&M hypers. I haven't ridden a B&M hyper, but I will assume I would probably prefer RMC hybrids in general. So I'm gonna go with that.
That's interesting for me because they're all mixed up in my top 50. Like I have a
Yeah.
bunch of B&M hypers really high. I also have a bunch of RMC hypers really high, or hybrids really high. And then in the middle and the bottom of my top 50, there also you find B&M hypers and RMCs. So I guess I would say RMC hybrids because I got Steel Vengeance and Wicked Cyclone ranked higher than any of my hypers.
Yeah, I know you have like your rankings are kind of wild, but you have all the B&M hypers you've ridden are in your top 50, and then also
Yes.
all the RMC hybrids. So yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty interesting. What is our favorite hang time moment? Full throttle vertical loop. That's mine.
I would say Top Gun stall Twisted Colossus.
Oh, that's up there too. Yeah, I could understand that. That one's definitely up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still gonna go full throttle on that one. Definitely the best part of the ride. At least for me. Let's see. Most intense weather experience on a coaster. I've ridden. Uh, I haven't ridden too many coasters in the rain, but one time I rode Twisted Colossus in the pouring rain. Obviously, it's not the most forceful coaster, but those raindrops felt like absolute like pellets just pelting my face. So that would be my pick.
I did Fury 325 in the front row in a pretty heavy rainstorm. We tried to cover our faces with our jackets, and it didn't help. The rain was still destroying our faces, so I would not recommend that.
Yeah, rain rides. There, you kind of have to wonder, like, before you do it, is it worth it or not? Just because it can be.
I mean, even I did Candemonium in a very light mist, and even that hurt pretty bad.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, coasters in rain, it's just some people love it. I'm not a fan.
It's like for me, I like it, but I don't. It's like it's painful, but for me, it's like it's worth it. What is your dream theme park land? Oh, I guess so. Like one that we could make. I don't like it. I'll try to go. Ooh, shoot. This one's hard. I mean, I know a lot of people would probably say this, but I would want to do a Star Wars land with the original trilogy. I mean, kind of basic pick, but that'd probably be mine. Tatooine specifically. That'd be my pick. So, Chris, you have one?
Like maybe like a land themed to defunct things, like a Son of Beast attraction, a
Oh, that'd
Drakenfire
be cool.
attraction, a Windjammer thing. Like I don't know, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. That would actually be pretty interesting. I haven't heard that before. A defunct land. That'd be pretty a
You
defunct
never heard of a defunct
land.
land, have you? Huh?
Oh, man, I didn't mean to. Yeah, I guess pun intended, but there we go. Before you go to Poland, do you think Zadra will be better than Steel Vengeance? I know this is more for you, but I mean, since I've ridden Steel Vengeance, I think it could be possibly. I might prefer it, but I haven't ridden Zadra, so I'll just say it's definitely a possibility that I might like it better.
I know one of the questions that we didn't get to earlier was like, what do you value in a coaster? Like, kind of based on what 808 Coaster Life posted today. And for me, one of the top three things is length. And Steel Vengeance has the length over Zadra. So it wouldn't necessarily mean that it's going to be better for sure, but that's a pretty big deal that Steel Vengeance has that humongous ride time that Zadra doesn't really have.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. The length of the coaster definitely, but for me, I care a little bit less about it. I know some people it's a big deal. For me, I can still I don't really care as much as long as it doesn't either drag out too long or it doesn't. If it's a short ride though, then it better not have like too many dull or it better have like zero dull moments because that's kind of the I guess thing I kind of look for there. Um, I guess I shoot. Okay, so I guess this will be the last question. Looking through here, trying to find one to end a good one to end it off on. Let's see. If you find one that you want to talk about, then that would be great. But I'm trying to find a good one to end off on. Let's see.
How about, what do you think the next RMC conversion will be?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. Who said that? Oh, yeah, I found it. Okay, Brayden. Yep, great question. You want to go first with this one?
I would say will be or should be.
We can do both.
Oh man. I think that it'll be in the Six Flags chain. And if I had to pick one, I would say Predator, Darien Lake. Also was considering Roar, Six Flags America.
Yeah.
That'd be like the other one, like that's like most likely. But it just makes so much sense to do that to Predator. So, God, that would make that park so much better. And Predator is a piece of crap. So,
Yeah. Predator is definitely the one I would think of. However, if I had to base it off the ones I've ridden, I don't know. The layout's probably not the best at all for it. But if somehow they could RMC Grizzly at California's Great America,
yeah,
that would be great.
yeah,
That
definitely.
that
That
coaster
ride's
just
so
doesn't
boring.
do anything. It does nothing. Like, as I've talked about it a lot on the streams because people have always like asked what's my thoughts on it. It literally does nothing. It's like the most boring coaster I've ever ridden. It's like it's unbelievable just
Mhm.
how much it doesn't do. It's kind of insane.
It reminds me of Hurler at Carowinds. It's not rough. It's just pointless.
It for me it was like a little shaky. I was like, if it was rough, I might have liked it better just because it would have been at least a little more notable. But like it's just a little shaky. That's it. So
Mhm.
but so Grizzly would definitely be one. Predator would be another. I want to try to do one maybe more international, like a maybe a more international wooden coaster pick. Um, what a lot of people have thrown out like what's that one called? Bandit. I forget. It's like in
Oh, Movie
Germany.
Park? Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
that'd
people
be a
have
good
thrown that one
candidate.
out there. That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Mammoth, yeah.
Um,
Stanford Bridge Mission Mammoth. That's what I was thinking of too. That's a
Mammut.
yeah, isn't that like a Vekoma wooden coaster or something?
I
Or
think it's either a Vekoma or a Gerslauer. I
Gerslauer.
think. I
Yeah.
think it's a
One of those two.
Gerslauer. Yeah.
Bizarre.
Someone mentioned Wildcat like at Hershey. If GCI could somehow do like kind of their own take on that, that'd be great. That's why I didn't mention it. Roar at Six Flags America, which you mentioned earlier, would also be a good
Mhm.
one. Megaphobia, that coaster actually looks good. I don't see why you would want to RMC that. I mean, it's basically Rampage, but Megaphobia at Oakwood.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Grizzly at King's Dominion is a little better, I think. It's not as boring, but it's still not that great either. I know some people rave about it, but I didn't think it was that anything special.
I've seen it. It looks a lot better, but
Yeah.
yeah. Alrighty, so I think unless you have any, you see any questions that you want to answer real quick, that'll be the
Yeah.
end of answering the questions.
I think 2.5
So
hours is good. A good time to wrap it up.
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So basically, if you aren't subscribed to Airtime Thrills, make sure to subscribe to his channel. I have the link down in the description. And if you are new to my channel or this live stream, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification so you know when the next stream is, which I do these once every 2 weeks. So theoretically, the next one would be on Halloween, which is on a Saturday. I may change that. I may make it the night before. We'll see. But I'm still planning on doing it the Saturday of. And also, if you haven't followed my Instagram yet, I have that in the description as well. So make sure to do that. With that said, thank you, Chris, for coming on here. It was a pleasure having you. Really awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And I guess shoot. And that's pretty much yeah, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. So like I said, if you're new, make sure to subscribe, and also if you haven't seen Chris's channel yet or haven't subscribed to it, make sure to do that. And with all of that said, thank you all for watching, and I will
Yeah.
see you all next time here
Thank
on
you guys all for
Coaster
coming
Hour.
on.
See ya.